everybody, lads and lassies, dudes and dudettes, gamers and non-gamers alike. Welcome back to another intrepid episode of Games and Gamers. I am a beautiful, handsome, amazingly nerdy yet not nerdy host, Hayden, also known as KH Hauser. I look good today. You guys can't see how good I look, but I look good. I shaved. I'm also joined by my buddy Danger, aka DangerXtreme. Danger,
hello.
How's it going?
I'm doing all right.
You're over there. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Doing good.
Have you had a good day today, Danger?
It was an all right day. Today was actually a very slow day in comparison of like the last 7 days has happened. So
Fair.
Definitely a slow day. So I've kind of just been trying to get to this point. There's other stuff that went on that I'm not really going to talk about on stream, but some stuff did happen.
How you robbed a bank in Massachusetts? I heard about that.
Yeah.
I'm so upset. Yeah, I can't believe you invited Demon and not me.
Yeah. It was sort. Here's the thing. It was a GTA heist type thing, going on. And we know you're a very big corporate business. We didn't need too much. We couldn't afford you.
God, yeah, Dokkan win.
You could do like a one-man job. We just couldn't pay for that.
Dokkan win is
a
the corporate
$55 anime figure, so he wanted that, so I could pay him in that.
You know what, Danger? Let me go reach up here. We're talking about expensive figures.
Expensive figures, the freaking dude, the figure that you got from when you visited.
It's such a shame that we're not recording our faces on this because I'm holding up an 11-inch Tyrant figure from Resident Evil 1, the T002.
It's super cool. It is really cool.
I can't wait to get the liquor. That'll be my next figure purpose.
That'll be cool. Those will be cool. Those will be cool side by side. Those will be really cool.
Also, one of these days we're gonna actually get this, and I'm gonna convince Danger that we're gonna have this background. We're gonna put our videos up. I'm gonna have a wall behind me of all my nerd stuff.
I mean, hey, that'd be super cool if you can do that one. Like, basically what I have, but, like, better.
Yeah.
Like, if you can do that, that'd be super sick.
I can have Tiamat, I can have Bolshak, my Stardust Dragon, Asta, Goku, the Iron Hammer, whatever thing is the Iron Man with the hammer.
Yeah, I think it's literally called Iron Hammer.
Yeah, then you got my Summon Skull, Senku, Luffy. I got a lot of random stuff.
Iron Hammer, there's so many cool Marvel stuff. Oh my gosh. Marvel's amazing. I love Marvel.
Speaking of Marvel, we actually talked in our last episode. If you want to go listen to our last episode, I don't know if these are on Spotify yet. I think what we're going to do is wait for us to have like 5 or 6.
That's the smart idea.
And then put them all on. Yeah. And I can also make us a nice, fun trailer by cutting out things, because Danger over there did not want to come up with a fun script, which part of it's going to come true today.
Oh, here's the thing. Here it is. Here's the trailer material you wanted. We're gonna
in our second episode, we're gonna have everything I need.
By the time we have 5 episodes, that should be plenty enough resource to get stuff. But, so I mean, yeah, I would just wait till then and make an actual trailer.
We are going to talk about a game. Danger's a big fan of this game. Spiderman for PS4.
I love this game, and I did not know how much I would actually love this game.
You didn't see what I just did you?
You held up the disc, yes.
No, you didn't see what I just did.
No, then I didn't. Then no.
I yeeted the disc behind me.
You did not.
Yeah, I did. I don't know. Oh, there it is. It's on my futon.
Oh my gosh.
Hold on. Danger, I'll let you explain whatever you want to explain while I lean back and grab my disc, so you can actually see that I did this. So explain what you're going to explain, my friend. I'll be right back.
Okay, so Spider-Man is a game that was announced coming out for PlayStation, along with the console PlayStation 4. Now, it didn't come out with the PlayStation 4. PlayStation 4 came out way before that, but this was basically the next push towards the what the PlayStation 4 could do. Basically, if you were to think about it, it is sort of foreshadowing to what we could be expecting regularly on the PlayStation 5. Because this game, the graphics, lighting, animation, gameplay, is all very amazing. Now, in the beginning, it did have a few problems, but over time they got better, and it is an amazing game. And if you actually play this on the PlayStation 5, it is amazing. It's literally as if this game was that's why I'm saying, like, I'm pretty sure this was supposed to show what the PlayStation 5 can do, because it runs amazing. It looks amazing on the PlayStation 5, as if it was built for that console. But then it just didn't work out too well with the PlayStation 4 because it couldn't run it. Mm-hmm. So if anything, it was just a way for, people to get a PlayStation 5 if you liked this game specifically. But it was a very fun game to play. I have played it a bunch of times. Played it back, like, we got it whenever we first got the PlayStation 4 is when we got this game. We also got the we got the Game of the Year edition, so we have all 3 DLCs, which we're not going to talk about in here, but they're also amazing. One thing I love about this game,
You have the DLCs?
which, yes, I have all 3 of the DLCs. The Game of the Year edition, no, well, okay, yes, I believe it comes with all 3 of the DLC.
I have to buy mine. I got the Game of the Year edition. I have to buy mine.
Oh, then maybe it came with a code.
I mean, also to be fair, my old roommate left this, so I just have the disc.
Well, then yeah, but yeah. So the codes came with it, and it came with all 3 parts of the DLC. One thing I love about this game, which I will mention, is Spider-Man was a game to where it was planned to have more since the beginning. It was planned to have so much more. In this game, it already foreshadowed towards having the DLC. Which the DLC is absolutely amazing. And we're not going to talk about it here. Maybe do a Patreon where you pay to talk about DLC. Which honestly, I really like that idea. I actually do enjoy that idea. If you don't want to hear it, you don't got to. But if you want to, give us money. But it is super cool. But also, as we get, because I don't want to talk about too much in the beginning.
Yeah.
As we'll go through it, we'll talk about it. But there's a bunch of amazing stuff in this game that we can talk about later on. So, is there anything you want to talk about the game initially before I get into sort of the first part?
Before we do any of the basics, I will agree the graphics did look good. Like, the graphics, I was very much surprised at how good they really looked when I first started. Peter Parker looked great. I love the design. I'm not going to lie. I don't do this often, but I have a crush on Silver. My God.
You want to know? You may disagree with me. It's like looking at a female Sephiroth, almost. Is like the feeling I get from it. With the cloak, similar hair. I don't know if it's just me, if it's been a while since I've seen Sephiroth. But that's sort of what it feels like. I don't know if that's just me.
I will disagree. I can see why, but I disagree.
Not like the character itself, but model-wise.
No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, it's like essentially the female version of Sephiroth.
That's what it feels like. It's like close. Disagree, but you see what I'm talking about.
Like, okay, like someone who's played the game 7 enough and knows Sephiroth, I disagree. But from looking at like an outside, I think my cat's attacking the back of my chair.
Yeah, outside perspective.
From an outside perspective, I can kind of, sort of, maybe see it. But I'm not going to sit there and be like, yeah. No. But I will say the graphics are fun. The characters...
All the characters are... We're going to talk about... I'll try to talk about every character we can in this, but yes.
Characters were done well. I'll say that. There were some good moments that I will say the characters... I'll say this right out of the gate. The characters were the best part of this game.
Yes, absolutely. One thing that I love about this game is that it was done close to the comics. It looked like each character looked comical and slightly cartoonish, but that did not make them any less intimidating or real. Like, it is really, like, of course, it's not real, obviously, but the fact that, like, of how it looks, how they act, the fact that there's literally real life threats inside of this game, it is done so well to still look the cartoonish style, but make these characters still look horrifying or real in these certain events. And that's what I love so much about it. I love it a lot. Well, okay. In the sense of, what all these people were going through, all these characters, like, literally a whole pandemic, which, by the way, this game came out before COVID was a thing.
Was it 19? I thought it came out after. I thought it came out after in 2020.
I'm pretty sure no. I can check, but I'm pretty sure it came out before COVID was the thing.
I don't know.
Hold on, Spider-Man PlayStation release.
Because I thought it came out like in 2020, like April of 2020.
2018. No, Spider-Man 2018.
Wow, this game is 5 years old.
Yeah.
Jiminy freaking Christmas.
That's what I'm saying. This game is literally... It takes situations that are very real. It didn't even know there was going to be an actual pandemic, but it showed that. And during this time, when I actually played the game, I'm pretty sure this was around when COVID started, whenever I started playing this game.
Hey, Danger. Off topic.
Yes.
I just happened to look at my Buster Sword.
Yeah.
Why are there holes in the hilt of my Buster Sword?
In the hilt of your Buster Sword?
Yeah. Whenever we're done, I'll show you. But I'm looking at it right now, and it could be the coloration. You may have done it wrong, but yeah, like the 5 holes right below the materia.
Oh, you're talking about what I'm drawing. What I drew. Hold on. Let me look.
Like way off topic. I was just sitting there like, man, this looks so good. Wait a minute. Wait.
Oh.
What?
I mean, that's what it looked like in the model that I had.
Those are screws. Those are giant bolts. That's not hollow.
No, I'll fix it.
I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. It makes this our own weird thing. This isn't the Buster Sword. This is the Booster Sword.
The Booster Sword.
The Bustier. Oh my god. Boost. Do you remember Bustier?
Bustier, no.
Lady Bustier.
Lady Bustier.
I had you draw a female version of the Buster Sword. Lady Bustier. Right now, find that picture, send it to me. Hayden, put it on the screen for YouTube. Sorry, anybody else. YouTube side, look at Lady Bustier.
Hey, you can do that, man. I sent you all of them. You should have that already.
I don't think I have Bustier. If I do, it's
in Dokkan Wen art thing. So I mean,
it's a hot minute since we've seen Bustier. Anyway, we've got way off topic. Characters are good. I like the graphics of it. It was very fun.
Yes, it is a very fun cinematic game, and that's what I love about it. It is great. I love it a lot.
Now,
so we can go ahead.
Get into the game.
Yeah, let's actually get into...
By the way, Danger, I just heard
what?
I'm wearing a Spider shirt. Spider brand.
No, you are. It's not Spider-Man, but it's Spider.
Spider brand. Spyder. Spider.
Yeah.
Very comfortable.
So, the very first game, or the very first level in the game, is called the main event. I think this event is done really well to start off what the Spider-Man game is. Now, tutorials in games, obviously, you don't have to put too much work into tutorial because, of course, you're getting into the thing. Yes, you have story, you have the cinematic, you have all this fun stuff, but when you get into the game, it's usually first very slow. That is like, because you want every person to sort of get into the game, enjoy it, build up, and then at some point, boost up the difficulty, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with this, it still feels very difficult at first, but is also very possible. It is not as hard as the game can get, but it doesn't make it feel, when you get into it, it feels like you're going straight into an epic battle, which that's basically what it was. It was the police versus Fisk, as Fisk is trying to escape from getting arrested, because that was the day they finally got a warrant to arrest Fisk. One of the things I absolutely love is that at the start of the game, there's a nice cinematic to where you see a spider, you slowly pan into the room, you see so the first thing you see is pictures of, I believe the order is Peter's parents, and then a photo of Uncle Ben and Aunt May.
Didn't you tell me that the parents were stock photos?
No, so I'm not that one. I'm not sure, but yes, we'll get to the stock photo later. But yes, but as we go through, we sort of look around the room. You start seeing newspapers. You see a few gadgets. You see some things that Peter has collected over the years. You see a bunch of newspapers to all of these older characters, which are eventually shown later inside of the game. You slowly pan through more. You see more gadgets. You see stuff he used to use. You see prototypes he had. It goes around the room, and then eventually it goes to his phone, I think. Yeah, it goes to his phone, and then eventually it starts beeping, and it's talking, and then the radio shows up talking about Fisk, because he has, of course, a radio in his room. He wakes up, he's like, he's like, Fisk, like, this is it, this is the day. They finally got a warrant on him. He's getting ready, music kicks in, it's fun music. I don't remember the song off the top of my head, but I remember it just being very fun, like, hyped up music, like, this is it, let's go, we're starting. He's getting ready to go. He gets breakfast. You see his toaster is like mechanical. I don't even know what he did with it. It just looks neat. You could see it's Peter Parker being Peter Parker for a bit,
Right.
And then eventually he gets ready to go. He's ready up in his suit, and he's about to start his day. And then through the door, as he's about to jump out the window, slips a notice about his rent, that the money is due. And he's thinking about it. He's like, man, if I don't do this, I'm going to get kicked out. Like, I've not given the money yet. I am late. Like, you see he's hesitant. He's thinking about it. But nope. Screw it. This is the way I need to go. And then he goes out being Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man, the hero, is who he truly is deep down as a person. So he takes off. It's super cool. He goes straight in, out the window. Game starts. Tutorial, immediately, the first thing it tells you to do is you can hold onto the trigger to start swinging. The swinging in this game, Now, in the game, you're able to fast travel if you want to eventually later through the game. But one of the things I absolutely love about this game is being able to swing around as just Spider-Man. Seeing the entire map, the map is amazing. All of the little details are amazing. The lighting and like the reflections of the buildings are a little. Besides that, everything else is absolutely amazing. There's different times of the day, which is super cool. One unfortunate thing about the game is once you complete the game, it's stuck on one part of the day. But I love it so much. It's stuck towards towards a sunset
I thought
area.
you had the ability to, because I remember saying once I beat it, you had the ability to change the time of the day.
Maybe I don't remember it though. I don't
Like
remember.
I thought it said you can go complete these missions. You can also change the time of the day. Is what I thought it had said.
When you enter a mission, the time of day changes when you enter a
No, I
mission,
know that,
but
but I
then it
thought at
changes.
the end of the game you actually had the option to, like, I guess we'll
I
go.
could I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I don't remember that though. Anyway, but swinging around's super fun, and then immediately we get into it. They tell us a few other things about how you can swing, how you can just pull yourself forward, and then eventually you continue and you start following a helicopter. Which here's what I love as well. The game doesn't, it's not forcing you to go in one direction. You could just go your own way towards the mission, go around the map even if you want to. It's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna force you to go to the first thing immediately. But you have a helicopter to guide you in the beginning, which is really cool. Immediately, you get on the phone with Yuri, you talk about the whole thing, how it's all going down, you're swinging through, and then eventually you get to the. Where's the area? I believe. Let's see. It says it takes place in Chinatown and Hell's Kitchen, but I think it's a little distance away from that, maybe. But wherever you see is that the Fisk men and the police are gunning at each other. They're fighting. Of course, you're Spider-Man. You got to jump in and you got to take him out. So the tutorial's really good because immediately it shows you how men will attack you, how men with guns will attack you, and it tells you a few just basic moves. Now, one thing is the game does not limit you to the moves you have available. Like it's so immediately what you could do is you could hold down square to knock someone in the air. You can press triangle to web attack. Now at the beginning, it's only going to tell you, press square, press X. That's all it's going to tell you in the beginning. But you can still do these other things. One thing is that the game does not force you to go through the whole tutorial completely. You can skip through stuff if you already have that stuff available. Go through the basic fights, learn things. Eventually, after you beat them, you tell you're done. You're on your way. Explosion. You hear it. Spider-Man's worried. He immediately rushes to the building. More swinging's done, and then you're outside of Fisk's tower. Yuri's fine, thank goodness, and then all the cops, there's a whole-on blast going on right now. The police are shooting at the Fisk's men. They're defending Fisk with his life. Like they're doing everything. They don't want this guy. They're taking down choppers. They're shooting down trucks. Of course, Yuri's just like, all right, Spider-Man, do your thing. He goes in, and one of the funniest scenes I love in this game in the beginning is he just swings around, dodges bullets, swings in, grabs a guy, and just chucks him through a window. The guy's fine, by the way, nothing wrong. He just chucks him through glass and drops him by 20 feet. No, he's fine though. he's fine. Yes, I see. You see, the cat is. Man,
Attacking
that is
me.
a very active cat. They are a baby though, so of course they're going to be very
Oh yeah,
active.
Minion's adorable. She's very much in a bite mood recently. Like you can't tell because of how dark she.
Yeah, no, she's just pitch black. It's just a silhouette.
Here's my finger.
Yeah, it's just a silhouette. It just falls into the abyss. And it's gone. Your finger's gone. Your whole hand. And it's gone.
Okay.
Anyway, but yeah. So you just go in, and then eventually you learn about the focus bar. As the focus bar builds up, you can defeat enemies easier with your focus bar. And so the focus bar, I love the mechanic in the game. I think it's great. You can either choose to heal or choose to use an ability, or not the ability to use the
ability.
super. Yeah, to use your super to take someone out. Which there's different. And that's the one cool thing is that there's different animations for each type of takedown, which is super cool. I think there's like 3 per thing you can do. Just basic guys with guys with pistols, guys with rifles, guys with each weapon, and then each type of thug. Guys with jetpacks. I think each one has 2 or 3 animations. I think so. It's super cool. It's extra cinematic. It's more of the cinematic experience, which is super cool. Another thing is, as you get abilities later on, it can help you more. But you don't get that first, and then eventually, after you defeat everyone, you learn a few more abilities, you go through, turns out the elevator's down. The police start going up the stairs, and then you decide, oh, I'm going to go into the elevator, and you take up. You try to figure out what's up, and then Yuri tells you that they're not letting us get in, they've taken down our choppers, and Fisk is probably going to escape with the chopper. You go through, I'm trying to speed through this main event thing as fast as I can. The rest of it should be a little bit easier. You go on through, Aunt May calls you, you let her know that, oh, I'm watching a superhero film, that's what's in the background. You're trying to, like, she says what's up, and she's telling you that you're late, and then you continue on through, and then you eventually go to fight more people, which the first area, I think you immediately where you go into, like, the stairways that are going upwards. You go in, and then more, of course, people from across the way are shooting at you. This is where you learn to do the web thing of the like where you look at an area and you pull yourself forward because you can pull yourself onto the rim. Start fighting people, blah blah blah. You fight more. You head up, and then eventually you meet one of the most annoying enemies in the game. No matter what you do, it is the. I've just been sent an image. That's stupid. Anyway, but
Did I send it to you?
you sent it to whatever. I thought you sent it to me, so I clicked on it.
Yeah, I sent it to whatever topics.
Oh, it just said your name, so I assumed you sent it to me. Anyway, but what's super cool is that the freaking rocket launchers. The rocket launchers are annoying throughout the entire game. They're just annoying. Even after you get the upgrades, they're just annoying. Anyway, but after you defeat them, you continue on going, and then eventually you save some civilians, more cinema stuff. You go on through to more higher on the tower. Eventually, you say, hey, like, the building's starting to come down. Like, we need a bomb squad. So the bombs, or I think Yuri says that there's a bomb squad, like, heading in. So eventually you go through, you realize the bomb squad, like, how in the world did they get through all this debris if they're here already? Like, there's no way for them to get through. There's gunfire everywhere. They got through all of these explosions. Like, how are they even through? You continue on through. You meet the bomb squad. You're ready to push in with them to go get Fisk. Bomb squad betrays you. You take them out. You continue on through, and you meet Fisk. After you defeat them, you go in and you meet Fisk. Now, before we talk about Fisk, because Fisk is also more part, and then we're going to continue from there. So far in the game, how do you feel about the tutorial in the beginning?
I was very much. I had some issues. I recorded the first hour of this up. I'm going to put this on the Games and Gamers channel so you can actually see the first hour of this. But I was very much thrown into the action I was okay with, but at the same time, I feel like realistically, I thought at first it was handled okay. You get thrown in the basic. I feel like they shouldn't have thrown in so many different types of enemies right at the get-go. Like, it's like, hey, these first ones, you got these boring basic shooter dudes. Maybe rocket launchers, like 2 rocket launchers, like a taste of what's to come, but not what there were like 5 or 6 the entirety of
and it. And then the bomb squad that introduced the shield.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they're also there. I think there was one guy with a crowbar.
Yeah, like I think they introduced every enemy type right at the get go.
Mm-hmm.
Which.
No, the crowbar wasn't until you fought the thugs that were trying to break into that house after you fixed the tower. But yeah.
Okay, so basically they introduced pretty much there's 5 enemies in this game. They introduced 3 out of the 5 enemies at this opening section. And I liked it. It was fun. It was explaining enough, but at the same time, it also left out a lot of details. Like, I played through it, and I started to find out a whole lot of other stuff. Like, I didn't realize until I want to say halfway through the game, you could still swing your web in combat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at first I thought, okay, Spider-Man's on the ground.
Like, combat canceled your ability to just web around or web away.
Right.
Yeah, it's always there.
I didn't realize that until way later on.
Because typically games would cancel that ability and you're stuck in a...
Like, I had that, and typically I thought that was, so I didn't use that till way later on. Had I known at the beginning, it would have been fun. Overall, I think the intro was good. It's a very bombastic, in-your-face kind of intro. You go into it and realize, hey, this is what the game's going to be like for the entirety of it. It was a fun... Despite how poorly I performed, because I had never played this game before, it was a very fun intro. Gives you a lot of information on everything that's going on. and gives you like the vibe of what it is. The swinging in is fun, lets you get the vibe of Spider-Man, lets you follow all this. You get to see Peter Parker as Peter Parker along with the Spider-Man aspect. So I'll say the first hour of the game, we'll call this, was done really well. I did have fun with the first hour.
Yes, the first hour is one of the it's a very fun game, and whenever you enjoy Spider-Man as a character, you enjoy the cinema. Because one thing that I even put as like a note for the first thing that I thought of is if you like games, it's a great game. If you like Spider-Man, it's an amazing game, and if you like both, it's a really good game.
If you like games, this is a good game.
If you like games, it's a good game. All right. If you like
food, this is good food.
Because here's the thing: if you play the game but don't know a thing about Spider-Man, then it's a good game, but you're not gonna get the enjoyment out of it if you don't know the characters at all. You know, like you can't. There's no there's not enough time for you to spend with the characters. For example, like
Stoner,
Stoner. Oh my gosh!
Like
no,
here, the prime example. No, I know this is a prime example. I said that on purpose. Cat. It's a prime example.
But that is a good example. Yeah, you don't get it. You don't
exactly.
You just you saw one big guy and then that's it. And then even throughout the thing, like you don't know it. That's what I'm saying. So it's a cool mission. It's a good mission. It's cool. It's fun. But you don't get it really unless you're.
Of those, like,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's one of those. You have to be That's what I'm saying. If it's a good game, if you're a gamer, it's a good game. It's fine. But if you're a Spider-Man fan, but you're not a super big game guy, then it's still a fun game because it's a very cinematic game.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you're both, it's an amazing game. Which unfortunately you're not a super big Spider-Man guy. You know Spider-Man, you know him, you know most of it. And again, you knew a lot more than I thought you did. You know a lot about Spider-Man. But still it's not to the point where you can enjoy every single aspect of the game, which is unfortunate.
Please. God, Stoner? I love Stoner. He's my favorite one.
Tombstone.
Then you had Stoner. Then you had the elephant. My God, I love the elephant.
The elephant. Oh my God.
And the spider. God, Spider. He was fun. Hawk too. My God. Shocker, dude. Shocker's my favorite Spider-Man villain.
We're gonna lose. We're gonna go negative subs after this. We're gonna go negative.
Then you also had the Blue Barrel. I'm so surprised the Blue Barrel came in there.
Anyway, so continuing on. So finally, but it's such a good. We got so much to talk about. Anyway, we continue on through, and then eventually we go into the room to meet Fisk. We finally get to see Fisk what he looks like in the game. You saw him on a poster beforehand, or a newspaper. Fisk looks super cool in this game. Another thing, we barely get to see Fisk. I wish there was more. I wish there was more of him early on in the game, which technically there is with all the side stuff. But I mean, main story-wise, I wish there was more.
Oh yeah,
but
I will 100% agree with that.
Fisk was really well done. He gets behind glass. You have turrets shooting at you, which turrets do appear more later in the game, and so you learn how you're able to defeat those. Which those types of turrets are only in that level specifically. But then again, there's turrets later in the game that you can take out. But you level them up, break the glass, and then eventually you actually get into a fight scene with Fisk. You kind of learn how he operates afterwards. You just have to web him up a bit, punch him a few times, avoid him, and you can even throw stuff back at him that he throws at you, which is another really cool thing, which we've actually seen him done in comics, media, and games before, which is another just cool thing.
I'm going to say one complaint I have about this whole game right out of the gate.
All right.
It's okay.
One of them, sure, a book you have. I'm sure you have a few. Go ahead. First one. Come on.
Okay. It's not even that, and I'm not going to say it in this. One problem I have with Spider-Man is an ungodly strong character.
Yes.
I hate how lenient he is. A lot of the chaos that happens, Spider-Man movies, games, cinema, if he just went in and knocked them out like he's capable of doing, a lot of what happened, chaos would not happen.
There is a little thing towards that. He wants to, unfortunately, it's not even really possible, but he wants to try. He doesn't want to hurt people, again, he doesn't even know. He doesn't know his full strength because he never wants to know. He knows he's incredibly strong, but he doesn't know what his enemies can take, and he doesn't know what he can fully do.
Well,
So it's a case of he doesn't want to go like, oh, I'll go a little bit more. Let's see if that'll get him, and then freaking break his arm off. Like
I'm
it
thinking
dislocate his arm, and he's permanently not able to move it.
I'm thinking of the big bad. We'll take Fisk. We'll take Kingpin as an example. Because he's sitting there going, pow, 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 to the point that Kingpin's like, please. That's what I'm meaning. It's stuff like that. Like, he obviously can take more than what he's being shown that he can do. So I feel like he should put more effort in. That's one thing I have with superheroes in general, is you could one-shot this guy. One-shot him. Yeah, I don't want to. I could hurt him. What about the people that are dying around you?
Yes. Part of the thing about it could be easier, it could easily be.
Like
There's a lot of these things, but that's a
superhero complaint.
Gameplay. It's a superhero complaint, but also you have to be able to play the game. And it's just the game would be a play if you just.
I know. Here's how it should have been. I'll tell you this right out of the gate because I feel like we're going to do this back for the focus bar where you said you had your big one shot.
Mm-hmm.
For a boss, it should take a lot longer to fill up, and if you get it filled up on that boss, then he gets that one shot. But it takes like 3 times as long. It's like, all right, this guy.
Okay, I get what you're saying. So like the boss. Okay, yeah.
You have a health bar that you can get down, or if you get the focus bar built up, think of it Final Fantasy has
that
limit breaks.
Cool. That would have been cool. Yeah.
Final Fantasy 7 has a thing called limit breaks, which essentially is a big bump bow of damage.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You could either beat him to death, or you can get that one and hit him really hard. That's why I feel like bosses in this game should have been is punch. All right, focus bar.
And then
right,
enters the cinematic thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just one thing is that like and it also it's a little harder to say my statement before for this game because Spider-Man's been Spider-Man for 8 years at this point. So that. For those who can't see, a cat just spawned behind, not even jumped on or appeared, just spawned behind me.
Yep, this is my cat minion.
Yeah, little cat minion. Alright. But
it's our mascot.
So you fight Fisk for a bit, cinematic plays, he throws you through a wall a bit, he just like, I'm gonna destroy you! And just starts punching, throwing you through walls, then eventually you enter into the next room, where you now not only fight Fisk, but you also have enemies attacking you as well. So this is where the level gets a little bit harder, because Fisk still plays the same way, but now you have other guys trying to punch you. One thing about this game is you have to perfect dodge. Now, whenever I said it, one thing I failed to explain was whenever Hayden was playing it, I said you have to perfect dodge as if there was an other version of a dodge.
There is.
Perfect dodge, you can. But it's a gamble though. Like you're not guaranteed to dodge it. There's a chance you can still get hit. One of the worst things to dodge in the game are big guys, and that's what Fisk was. Fisk was the first big guy.
I hated the thugs. Because what you do is you dodge them, they dodge you into a corner, and you couldn't dodge again.
And then they just beat you up at a corner. Like, you try to dodge, and they punch you, and then they punch you again, and they punch you again.
Too many times.
Yeah, one too many. There was one time when I was fighting like 10 or 8 normal enemies. There was just thugs. And I was like, hey, I'll punch them. One guy punched me, and then they just started beating the crap out of me because as soon as one punch finished, another one started and it hit
combos,
me.
I hate it.
Yeah, I just kept getting beaten around. I was just like, I had to use my web blossom.
Now, anyway, let's go back to the story, because...
Yes. So you continue on, you fight for a bit, you eventually beat the thugs, you beat him, then, you're eventually enter one of the cool cinematic scenes in the game. It's just quick time events. I'm sure it's hard to fail them, but it's just triangle, circle, square. Cool cinematic scene for classic just PlayStation games. There's just quick time events, which quick time events are fun in games. Like they're not like I don't like games where that's all it is. But it's cool for these cinematic scenes, so where you're not. It doesn't feel like you're just watching a movie, like you're still playing a game. But you're not having to stress about it. Especially if you go into it a second time, you can just, click a button. Or if you've been playing games for a while, you just, bam, click a button. So it's fun to see. So you have this cool scene, you finally finish him off, you web him up, and then bam, you finally captured Fisk. Even though, the game is just for a bit, in the story, it's been 8 years. So finally, it is an end of an era for Spider-Man. which I think is just a fun way to immediately start the game, that it is an end of an era that has been going on for a while. You're playing an experienced Spider-Man where there's a bunch of previous story and even more story to unfold. So it's just you're already in a built world, which I love a lot. So many times, whenever it's Spider-Man stuff, it's like the beginning of Spider-Man, and it's just always a new take on it, a new suit, a new blah blah blah. So I actually really enjoyed this game that you already start out as a developed Spider-Man in a Spider-Man world, a Marvel world. And even more so, because there's other Marvel stuff in this world, there's details and whatnot, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So finally, we'll go to, I'll pull up the next thing real quick. But finally, the next thing is that you actually get a call from his other job, which is his other job is actually going to see Otto Octavius, which earlier you were actually called by Otto. During your time when you're when you're going through the city on your way to Fist Tower, Otto calls you and says, "Hey, like, we're doing the thing soon. We're doing a briefing soon. I need you here." And he's like, "Oh, I'll be there. I'll be a bit late. I'll be there later." And he's like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep having you late, because Otto Octavius as a character, he loves the mind and spirit that Peter has, but Peter keeps letting him down. So eventually you head over to the other job, and then you go inside and you see it's Otto Octavius. Now, in the beginning, you only see it says, like, work. Like, it doesn't tell you it's Otto. But as soon as you go in, you look up, bam, you see, and it even has the photo that I was telling you about on the wiki here. But immediately the first thing you see is Otto with four large cords going into his back, which is obviously foreshadowing towards him being Dr. Octopus.
Foreshadowing?
Yeah, I see what you did there. Anyway, so we go into the... But you see him...
God, I love games and gamers already. I hope you people out there enjoy it. If you do, like and subscribe.
It's a little bit dramatic, but it's a bunch of cords to control one arm. But to be fair, like, the reason I say a little dramatic is because think of all the technology they have in that world already. So it's a little dramatic they need all this to control the arm. But to be fair, he's using, like, new technology, new stuff. So, of course, understandable. But it's unnecessary, but I love it. You get to see who will eventually, unfortunately, be one of the people you fight. But then and here's the thing. At the beginning of the game, you don't know if he is a character you're gonna fight, which is super cool. Eventually, you do later on, and of course you're like, oh, this is probably gonna be the guy, but it's not shown till later. And again, at the time this game came out, there was no guarantee that there was gonna be a sequel, But you get in, you try it out, you're like, wow, you're actually doing it. It's super cool. It messes up. Things start sparking, start setting on fire. Eventually, he actually gets injured from it. Peter hits the emergency shutdown, and they unhook it. They're talking about, man, this sucks, but hey, we're getting close. Like, our work, which we've been doing for a while now, which I'm not sure how long exactly, but Peter's been with him for a while. Actually, he got a
internship.
Internship, that's the word. I was about to say scholarship, and I was like, that's not right. An internship. He's going to get an internship with Octavius, and so they've been doing this for a little bit now. And eventually, they're like, we're getting close, oh, well, that's fine, let's keep going. 3 people come in, they're like, what's going on? Is anyone hurt? He's like, no, it's just a minor setback. But in future projects, we'll be totally fine. We got it. We figured it out. And of course, the lady's just like, oh, like let's not get ahead of ourselves here. You're acting as if this is a good thing. This is not. We were, you've been at this for a while. We've expected you to get it by now, which has been just one of the worries of Otto. Is like, I also thought we've had it figured out by now. So it's very, very upsetting what's going on. You eventually learn a bit of the story, then we're introduced to the first puzzle, which is the little electric grid puzzle thing. Which is another thing, which the first time I played it, I did not like it when I first played it. I thought it was a little annoying, a little tedious, but as I played through the game, I learned we're getting more of Peter Parker. We're not getting Spider-Man. We're getting Peter Parker, who is smart with technology, doing his thing, messing with the little gadgets and gizmos, setting everything up and fixing things. Because that's what Peter does. He builds things. It's, Spider-Man would not be able to have all this cool stuff if Peter was not, intelligent. So he fixes it. He's like, all right, well, figure it out. Well, I figured this out. I should go ahead and leave. We'll go ahead and continue. And then eventually Yuri calls you up. and she's like, "Hey, like, I need your help for a bit. I need you to come look at the come look at this tower real quick." And so yeah, it requests his presence on top of the rooftop. You eventually go there, and she explains to him that, like, oh, all right. So the beginning of it is the Spider-Man's like, "What do you do? What do you tell everyone when you come up here now they stop smoking?" She says, "Oh, because I'm tired of everyone." He's saying, "Oh well, now that I'm here, do you need, like, do you need to dance to a ball?" And she's like, "Funny, you got a suit. Oh well." Anyway, but there's not even a ball for them to go to because they have to pay for these towers. So the towers, while they were super cool and they actually worked really well, they all of a sudden all went offline. Spider-Man assumes, like, could have been it's like job year. He's like, I'm not sure, most likely, but until then, we need to get these towers up before we can even figure that out. The Abyss is very happy. The very happy
She
Abyss.
loves this.
Alright, so you go ahead, you fix the tower, and then eventually you detect, oh yeah, I can now see all the crime going on in the city now. And she's like, oh, okay, I'll go ahead and call over. I'll call the department going over. The breaking and entering. He's like, nah, I got this. Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man will go on in, fix it. And then eventually he goes in, he stops the crime. And then afterwards, eventually, more people that he needs to go help. He goes to help them for an assault. He goes to prevent the assault. He talks to the woman who's homeless, and he's like, "Oh, hey, you could go to the Feast Center." This is the first time Feast is mentioned, which is one of the main aspects of the game, of a place you go to. It's Peter Parker's area to go to. And then eventually there's more stuff involved with it. But after you do, you talk about it's all Spider Cop. Spider Cop is
God, you
now
know
here
what?
to
I will
save the
say the best
day.
part of this game was indeed Spider Cop.
Spider Cop.
Spider
Spider
Cop's on the
Cop.
job.
Spider Cop's canon? Spider Cop is there's an actual universe to where Spider Cop
I
exists.
feel like there's an everything where everything's canon in Marvel because they got the infinite universes kind of thing.
Yep, Spider Cop. Anyway, but so eventually he goes to you can fix more towers, but he's looking at his suit. He's like, man, this suit's broken. Like, oh hey, you know what? Otto, like, he gets a call. He's like, oh, if Otto went off to go eat, the lab's a perfect place for me to go fix my suit real quick, which is, you need to fix it up. The place has a bunch of gear. He doesn't want to go all the way home. He's like, you know what? I'll go ahead and go to here to fix it. You swing on by, you can fix towers along the way. There's a few more crimes along the way. So, more just other stuff you can do. Eventually, you get to the tower or to the lab, and you go in to fix your suit. It turns out Otto, he's gonna grab some stuff real quick from the lab. He's like, oh hey, like, I got food. If I knew you were gonna be here, I would have gotten some more. And then he finds out, oh, Peter Parker has relations with Spider-Man. But in the beginning, and I truly in the beginning thought that Otto actually did believe that Peter Parker built stuff for Spider-Man. Because at the time, Otto Octavius was not corrupted, right? He wasn't corrupted in the beginning. So there was no reason for him to lie that he knew the truth when it was literally in front of him. So I don't think. So I think actually in the beginning, Otto didn't know. Now I'm sure later on, as he thought about it, he realized maybe, probably, it's probably him. Honestly, it makes sense why he's late a lot, whatnot. So that's why I actually think in the beginning he probably didn't know. Maybe there's no confirmation. He probably did.
I had assumed, like, right out of the get-go, he realized, like, oh my god, it makes so much sense. I had assumed he knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man from that one instance right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's one issue I had, this whole thing, especially knowing about Octavius.
Mm-hmm.
And it made it even worse because of that one little fact right there that he knows Peter.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of stuff could happen because he knows Peter is Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Which is going to make a lot of fun later on and is really going to screw with stuff. Because I thought, as far as I know, comic-wise, it's like 3 people, I think I could be wrong, like 3 people that actually know his identity.
Mm.
And having one of the big bads,
I think so.
Having one of the big bads know his identity is seriously going to screw up with everything he's got. So
yeah,
I did not care for that. Out of the get-go, I did not care for it. Way later, I appreciate it.
Yes,
But
and we'll get to the part of way later. But I personally think, with that being the case, I personally think at the time he thought he was building the gadgets for him. And that was that, like, again, there's no confirmation, it's just what I think it is. But he eventually, like, you know, he fixes stuff, he goes to like take a nap for a bit to rest. He had a long day, and so he gets up, and he turns out, oh, I got an email from Otto. He reads from Otto that Otto is very happy that what Peter's doing for Spider-Man. Spider-Man's a friend. You know, just talking about how much he just loves Peter as a person from everything he does. The cat was holding onto you with just her mouth. That must have been painful.
No, her claws were the end of my arm.
Oh, all right. Probably more painful, but yeah. But yeah, we both have our face cams on. I'm just watching him get attacked by an abyss like every 10 seconds. Anyway, but he wakes up and, you know, Peter, like Otto talks more about how much he appreciates Peter and how Peter has driven him to keep going. He drives Peter to keep going. They're basically just a constantly moving force. And so he's like, and Spider-Man is also an inspiration. So the fact that, you know, that both of his inspirations are, like, you know, in cahoots with each other and working with each other, you know, he's like, this is great. This is an amazing world. All of us are working together for a better world. And so then he goes ahead and gives a recommendation for a more powerful and better suit, which is the introduction of not everyone's favorite, but still an amazingly well done outfit. I still think it's great, and of course it's gonna be the poster because it's Sony's own spin of the Spider-Man outfit, and even more so because there's like alternate variants. There's like the negative variant, the armored variant. You know, there's like multiple variants of this one outfit, but it's super cool. So while it might not be everyone's favorite, it's still a neat outfit. You can't deny that it's not a neat outfit.
Oh, I'm not gonna
and
deny
it has other styles. Yeah, of course it's not gonna be your favorite. Everyone, like, I prefer the outfit you get after you do all of Black Cat's missions.
I haven't seen.
I prefer that out. All right. Well, when you do see it, it's really cool. It's a really cool outfit. I love it a lot. But
my favorite one out of the gate was the Spider Rider. I like the Spider Rider.
The Arachnid Rider. But yeah, dude, the Arachnid Rider. I was even like, I didn't even know the name of it. I was like, man, that looks like a Common Rider. Like, that looks like a Common Rider Power Ranger type character. It's literally called the Arachnid Rider, which is super cool. Really think it's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So
I like it. The suit aspect was a very fun part of this game because it allows your own customizing, which made it really fun. And I like those kind of games that allow you your own aspect to it. Like, I personally ran 3 suits the entire game. I'd swap between Arachnid Rider, the Future Foundation, and whenever I eventually got it, I ran the 2099 till I beat the game. There are other ones I could get, and one thing I'm going to say out of the gate really quick, I was messaging Danger the entire time I was playing this game. I got every essential, like, side quest done that you could, done way too early.
So on my, like, 3rd playthrough, I did the same thing. Yeah, where I just kept getting like, as soon as a side mission popped up, I just went and got it all done. Like, that way it didn't pile up later throughout the game, and I'm stuck doing a bunch of stuff forever, you know?
Yeah, I did all the backpacks. The backpacks were fun.
Backpacks are fun, and that's even more things. So each backpack, now, I'm not going to go pull up every single item, because we would be here forever, just talk about each item individually. But the ones that I love the most are... So as I said, the Marvel unit, it's a Marvel world, not just Spider-Man. Marvel. You get a card from a lawyer named Matt Murdock, which, if you do not know, I think you do. Yeah, he's the Daredevil. So Matt Murdock,
how do you know I'm Spider-Man if he's blind?
Yeah, wait, how do you know I'm Spider-Man if he's blind? Yeah, I absolutely love that. Another one is where I'm not going to mention each single one, but that he had items or souvenirs based off of fighting different villains. Rhino's broken horn, a lens breaking from Vulture, a button to disable Electro, and just a few other of those things. That was extremely cool of him having all of these little souvenirs of more story about, you know, his childhood, him growing up, him fighting people. Spider plushie, just a bunch of fun,
Spider
cool
plushie.
things.
That was fun.
Spider plushie, oh my gosh, yeah, Spider plushie was great. So a bunch of cool, fun backpacks. Another thing is pictures. The map is an absolutely amazing map. It is super fun. It is fun to look around. It's fun to swing through it. But if you stop to look around, it's really well done.
Mm-hmm.
I think the picture aspect, of course, the first one, it's a mission to see the tower. But I think one of the things that I love is that it doesn't force you to. You can do it if you want to. You look as much as you want. They've made the map cool, but they don't force you to look at their entire map. A few cool. Actually, even afterwards, up next, after we see the cool reveal of the suit, he goes around, and then eventually, let me find it.
This cat cut my hand open.
Yeah, something old, something new. Yeah, that's where they talk about the suit. Eventually, with his brand new suit. Okay, so real quick before we keep going, from the point of whenever we fought against Fisk up to the 2 little missions on the map, talking to Otto, learning about him, Otto learning about Peter, and then seeing the new suit. Anything you want to talk about that little aspect before we keep going?
I like the minigames they introduced, the little laser grid and the DNA, I guess it's called the DNA, the gene splicing stuff.
They're fun. They're fun.
Even on my first playthrough, there was a game I played on my phone years back that was that electric one. I spent an ungodly amount of hours on it before we played Dokkan Battle. So those kind of games are set. Like, I know how to play those. I had fun with those. I like that. I was telling you I got side quests done too early. But because I thought that that's all the side quests that there were going to be. Was the, I think it was crimes, go complete specific crimes.
Yes.
And then the backpacks.
Yeah.
I did those.
Yeah, you didn't even get to the picture part yet. Yeah, you got all the backpacks done.
I feel like if I would have, because I ended the game at 85% completion.
That's still a good amount.
So anyone out there, whenever we get to the actual opinions of this, after I kill my cat, whenever I get into the actual opinions of this, I put a good amount of effort into this game.
Yeah, he didn't just play this story mode and then call it a day. He actually did do side stuff and whatnot.
So I'm before, because Danger's already going to know this, because I gave him warning last night.
Yeah, he gave foreshadowing, so he's not going to give anything higher than a 7. So, I'm ready. Anyway, so I love, the puzzle's cool. I love the DNA puzzle. I think that's cool. And they get harder as you go through the game to where it's like it's 3 rows, each having 3, and then some of them cancel out each other or stack on each other. That's really fun throughout the game.
The overall,
whoops.
I like the whole, I like everything that was introduced at this point, because this is the first 2 hours of the game. Everything is new. Everything is fresh. Everything has its own brand new vibe. So it's all right, let's go do this fun thing. Let's go do this fun thing, get it all taken care of. So it's very much the first 2 hours are good. I had a lot of fun the first 2 hours.
Yes.
I'll say 3 because I spent 2 hours roughly getting all the stuff.
Yeah, it is a little time consuming, but it is fun. One thing is you're not supposed to. The intention is not for you to immediately go out and grab everything, but they're not going to stop you from going out and grabbing anything. So it's just it is time consuming, but in the entirety of the game, you're supposed to grab each backpack as you're going along through missions and stuff, and eventually just gets done over time. But yes, if you're doing it all by itself, it is time consuming. Even with fast travel.
One entertaining thing I liked about it was you're going around there's a main quest, Spiderman. You're going to do everything. Man, I really need to go help Yuri. Yuri really needs help.
Yeah,
man, I really gotta go help Yuri.
Yeah, Spider-Man keeps saying man, I should help Yuri. Yuri, I should. He's like, I should do the mission. Let's go.
And he was like, you know what? Oh, the mission's over here. The mission's over here. Let's go over here.
Yeah.
And I very much did that. Like I said, I did that a lot. I spent a lot of side stuff doing stuff. Also, I got to I think I was level 44 whenever I finally gave up. So I put a lot of, the leveling was fun. I will say
level 44 is not bad because level 50 is the max level you get in the game.
Danger,
now here's the thing. You can go beyond that
in DLC,
but it's each time 55 plus, it's 1% update. It's 1% health, 1% attack. It's literally nothing in comparison. So you'd have to be level.
You haven't talked about it, so I don't know if you're going to. I want to talk about the level system in this game.
The level system, the leveling up system. I was gonna get to that. I was gonna try to finish the Act 1 part.
Okay, that's fine.
And then talk about. Yeah, so we'll again, I am going to get into that, but I'm trying to go down the line to where as you leveled up a few times to where you can actually talk about that. But now after you do that, after you get your new suit, the first thing is that you get a call about that they're noticing a bunch of Wilson Fisk's guys at a construction site. Only thing is that they're not building anything. I'm pretty sure was the title thing. It was that like they're not building anything. So eventually you go there. It's like, oh, one thing is I love these bases. I'm gonna finish this real quick first, but you go in, you look around, it's like, man, like they have a bunch of stuff. Like it's a bunch of guys with guns, not really any construction work going on. And so she's saying, like, I can't call anyone because someone has to hunch, or Spider-Man said so. I need there to be actual evidence. He's like, oh, okay, I'll make sure y'all have a reason to come over. Again, let me do my Spider-Man things. Y'all can't see it, but I'm rubbing my hands together. Let Spider-Man do the work for you.
It's a fly.
It's a little fun. Just let Spider-Man be a little fun real quick. Anyway, you eventually go in. You take the guys out in two ways. Either immediately go in and fight everyone, or you can stealth take out most of the guys in the beginning for wave 1. In these, I believe there's 5 waves in each level. So by the time you could take out a whole wave before the people start rushing out and know you're there. And so what I love the stealth stuff in this game. I'm pretty sure it's because I played a bunch of the Arkham games, and I loved the stealth in that. So I think that's why I love the stealth in this game so much, because I grew up playing the stealth stuff in Batman. Because you could choose which one you wanted. Do you want to do all stealth, or just go all in, shoot, punch, or not shoot, but like, gadgets, punch, blah, blah, blah. But, had fun with that. It was super fun. I prefer the stealth way. You fight these guys, eventually they start shooting at you, you take out an entire wave, and then you defeat them. And it turns out what they find out is as you're fighting them, like, they have enough concrete to build, or like they're stashing stuff to where they could build like 2 skyscrapers. I think that was for a different hideout, not this one specifically, but it's something along those lines where like they're looking like they're doing something, but they're actually hiding either weapons or drugs or money. It's one of the things they're hiding. And so eventually you figure it out, you beat them all, and then eventually you see throughout the map there's more of these hideouts that you can go to. And so these hideout missions are really fun, especially with later on when we get stealth missions and stuff. So that's super cool. You finally take out them, and then eventually you get a phone call from Martin Lee saying, hey, you ready to come over? Like, we're about to have all the stuff ready for a birthday. He's like, oh yeah, no, I'm ready to come over. Just let me know when you're ready. He's like, all right, I'll call you in a bit. We're almost done. Eventually he's like, well, I gotta be waiting for a bit, so might as well go do some, might as well go ahead and do some photos. I think it's because at some point you found his camera, I think. So it's like, oh, I should take some photos, go back to my old ways. Eventually you do take a picture in the city. Afterwards, when you go take a picture, after you swing around for a bit, you swing there, take a picture, you eventually get a phone call, hey, everything's ready, you want to come on over? And he's like, sure, yeah, I'm ready to go on over. And then you go over to the Feast Center, which this is the first time we actually see the Feast Center, which was mentioned earlier. Eventually you go in, you go to meet May, you talk to Aunt May for a bit, you say hello, it is her birthday, you're trying to surprise her, so you're basically just trying to distract her about,
Was it her birthday?
Sorry, it was her birthday.
Okay, that was never really made clear. It just said it was an appreciation thing. So I thought, you've been here for this many years. We love you so much. I didn't realize that was her birthday.
I'm pretty sure. Here, let me look at it real quick, but I'm pretty sure it was her birthday.
All I know is it was an appreciation. May, we love everything you've done here. You've changed this place tremendously. Thank you for doing all this. Is essentially what I knew that was. So it was it was just a thank you thing. I did, while you look at it, I did like that. Like, you got to see a little bit of the characters and stuff. Like, the 2 playing checkers were fun.
It might be. It says thank you and whatnot, so it might be. It's more of an appreciation thing. And they're talking. All right, so it might be an appreciation thing. Thank you. Okay, yeah. All right, yeah. It's thank you for blah blah years of service. I can't see what that is, but yeah, it says like thank you for M years of service.
Thank you for years of service.
Oh, it's many years. Okay, so yeah, it's moved. It's like moved a bit.
No, I was saying May years. Thank you for May years.
It probably says many, but since it's like sideways a bit. Mm-hmm. Anyway. But yeah, then eventually, distracted, he's talking to her about, like, I'm having money problems. Me and MJ haven't really talked, so sort of thing we gotta talk about. But thank you for, helping out with me growing up. And then everyone's like, yes, like we all really appreciate you. You say thank you to Aunt May.
Oh,
Eventually, Peter talks with Martin. He says thank you for it. He gets a text. And he's like, oh yeah, like I gotta go, but thank you so much. Um,
I
but
will
yeah, Aunt May.
appreciate they
Hmm?
did not try to make May a hot aunt in this. I will
Yes.
appreciate that 100% that they weren't like, all right, here's May, let's make her bonable.
Yeah, but that's one thing about like she would get like younger throughout the movies and freaking Aunt May. We miss the old Granny Aunt May. We don't need
Oh,
young Aunt
oh,
May.
Peter, come here, my little Peter. Let me see my nephew.
Oh, not that
Yes.
old, not that old.
I know she was like in her 80s in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, so I don't know what you're talking about. Peter,
No,
quick,
I guess
give me my teeth, Peter, and we can go eat dinner, Peter. Peter! Peter, why are you running from me, Peter? I love you. Aunt May, someone help! My aunt's gone mad.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about this one, and then afterwards we'll go into the depth of actual gameplay because we're actually gonna be talking about gameplay in here,
Okay.
with one of my favorite aspects, and then afterwards we'll talk about the whole, leveling thing. Anyway, afterwards you get a call from your so on the phone. He's Spider-Man. Peter gets suited up. He gets suited up into Spider-Man. He's like, "Yo, what's up?" And she's like, "Hey, listen, like a silent alarm went off nearby, and I need you to go check it out. It could be nothing, but also it could be serious. So you go in and check real quick." He's like, "All right, no problem, got it. I'll be in and quiet if needed." So he goes to figure out, and he's on his way to the museum to check on what happened, and eventually he finds out, oh, there's a hostage situation going on. Hostage situation goes on, and then, you have to get inside. You have to take out a few of the demons, but one of the really cool things is this is where you learn for more of the stealth aspect of where you can web up like boxes, the floor, the walls, and you can make enemies move somewhere. And in this area, you have to be stealthy or else the hostage gets shot. And so you basically web them up over time. Yeah, I know. I'm trying. I'm trying to speed it up, dude. I'm trying. I told you this was going to be long. I'm
I
trying.
know. I didn't know if you were actually keeping tabs on stuff. I'm not trying to
Oh,
rush it.
I'm fully aware. I'm fully aware. We are just now in. We're just now heck no. We're still in Act One. We're halfway through Act One, and there's 3 acts. Thankfully, the third act is very short. Okay, but you go through the museum. You get through, and then eventually, after you fight all or take all the guys out, you get near the end, and you go right outside the door where the hostage is. You see 2 more guys. You take them out, and then you see a camera, a very familiar camera. You go in, you find it, and then eventually, one guy is actually there. He's like, "Hey, like move it or you're dead." And Spider-Man's like if I had a nickel for every time a guy told me that. And so what happened is MJ was actually the one to take him out. Peter's surprised to see her. It has been, I think, 6 months was around the time it was. Like, they broke up 6 months ago. They didn't see each other for then. It was like, oh, hey, I'm here. It's like, what's going on? Well, I'll explain. And it was like 15 minutes ago. She went into the museum, said that she was the photographer that was supposed to be there tomorrow, but she's actually there today. Lied, played it off, went through. There's a bunch of cool lore stuff. You'll have to go, bunch of stuff, which it sucks that we can't talk about literally everything in this game. It is amazing. Bunch of lore.
Patreon exclusive. When our Patreon's eventually made, we'll come back to Spooderman and we'll go through everything in a 7.5-hour video.
Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. Anyway, we go on through. We see the museum. It's like, okay, well, here's a special art piece, and MG's like, hey, I've seen that art piece before. Like, wasn't it stolen or taken away from somewhere or disappeared? And she was like, oh, like, oh, it's time for you to leave. MJ was saying, well, I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. If you could leave me in the room real quick. And the lady that works there is like, okay, takes her through, lets her go to the bathroom, and then she calls, like, hey, Derek or whatever his name was like you're late, like your person here is a day early, and basically you kind of see what's on the other side of the phone call is like what, I didn't send him there, and she's just like, well, who's in my building, like this person's not supposed to be here. Like, I'll have you fired for this. Eventually, MJ sneaks in, sees the statue, fixes the statue because she looks around the building. And she eventually opens it up because it is a puzzle. Just another fun puzzle, by the way. And then you get a file that is called Devil's Breath. You don't know what it is. You just see Devil's Breath, and apparently it's very bad. You don't know what it is. All you know, it's bad. Fisk was scared of it. It's bad. And so eventually, these people in masks break in. And then MJ runs, and then eventually that's where she ran into Spider-Man. Spider-Man's like, "All right, well, you go ahead and get out of here. I'll take care of the demons. Let's do this." He leaves. He takes out more of the demons, and then eventually MJ gets caught. And so the demon freaking smacks the shit out of MJ with his gun to make her like bounce off the ground, and then runs with the file. Spider-Man goes in, he takes out more of the demons. Unfortunately, the file got away, but hey, now we know that there's these guys in masks. We don't know who they are, and they wanted Devil's Breath from Fisk. And these guys, we assume, are now out because Fisk is gone. Eventually, he get in contact with MJ a bit. MJ's like, oh, well, this is unfortunate, but we'll figure it out. And, I think it was at the point where she's like, well, oh yeah, Spider-Man's like, hey, let's go to Mix. And so he's like, Mix, really fine. Like, we'll go there. They went to go talk for a bit. Peter talked about how Otto's his new job, that, this Devil's Breath thing's a mystery, that she works for Daily Bugle, what she's been doing this whole time, and how she's wanting to move forward. Peter's talking about what he does, and then eventually talk about as they're actually getting into their own relationship, which is another thing. Peter and MJ are done really well in this game. They're done really well.
They are.
I love their whole dynamic a lot. Now we'll go to like a pause point real quick to where we can talk about everything that's happened so far, from the feast thing all the way to now, which we talked about the picture thing. I already talked about. So feast to now. Is there anything you want to talk about? And then we can go into the actual mechanics and stuff of the game and the level up system of the game.
Once we get to the end of the first act, I'm going to go into a little bit more. We start to see a little bit more of the characters. I like the MJ stuff. I was not the biggest fan of the MJ sequence.
Oh, the first one or all of it?
There's one in particular I liked. But outside of that, I was not a super fan of... You said you like the stealth in this game?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care for it.
Stealth?
Because
I guess it is a you have to enjoy those type of missions. I enjoy being sneaky Batman type character.
I like being sneaky, but a problem I noticed, I want to say, on the second stealth run in the game, you don't have to go through those stealthily. Because on that first mission, I got caught once, then I literally didn't stop. I ran through everything without getting caught. And it was essentially every stealth mission in the game.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
it wasn't a stealth. It's literally, okay, book it!
Yeah.
Zoom! And I zoomed on through.
As soon as you know what you need to do, it's really easy. As soon as you know what you need to do.
Multiple times, it was the first time running through.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say... There was a sequence later on. I'm trying to remember.
Are you talking about specifically the Miles sequence?
No.
That Miles one you were talking about when you go through... Okay, which one are you talking about?
Way at the end of the game.
Okay. Then, if it's near the end of the game, we'll get...
That's why. That's one that I did.
Okay.
That's why I'm not going into detail. Just overall, what I was running through, a lot of them, you really didn't have to, at least for my when I played through it, I didn't have to put a whole lot of effort into the stealth aspect. It's like, okay, wait 2 seconds, let me just run through the entire sequence. And there was a lot like that in this game. And that's, like, you hyped up the stealth aspect of this game, so I got really excited. I was imagining, like, Last of Us level of stealth, because that's a stealth game. That's what I was...
the stealth part I enjoy is the Spider-Man aspect of stealth. The civilian side, with MJ and Miles,
In the
Not
the,
not as fun. Definitely not as fun.
the Spider-Man stealth had its moments. It wasn't until after I talked to you that I finally understood truly how to do it. Because
Mm.
I was sitting there doing the triangle, like the web takedown on everything, but at the same time, I also found out one like that. A lot of them, if you once you figure out you can have like the danger or the not danger, you can have this guy or not this guy. You can a mash triangle and take out an entire chunk of it without them noticing just by mashing one and you go pew 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 pew. So
Mhm.
the stealth, I will say, probably wasn't entirely fine tuned in this game. To
Yeah.
I'm gonna completely pick Danger's game apart as the game goes on. People out there,
Oh, yeah.
listeners out there, I'm gonna warn you. I'm gonna pick his game. I'm gonna pick his game apart. It's a good game. I'm not gonna. Okay, it's an okay game. I'm not gonna say it's a good game. It's an okay game. But the stealth aspect, I feel like they should have done a little better with, just because essentially you hit the button fast enough, you can take out the entire sequence.
Mhm.
And I was not a fan of that. And it could have just been I got the right one enemy and the
Oh, you're talking about the one you joined. I know which one you're talking about. I thought about it for like 10 seconds. I'm remembering which stuff. Yeah, we'll go into that later.
there's
But I
quite
know what you're talking about. It is.
a few
There's
of them.
one I enjoyed a lot. There's one I enjoyed a lot with MJ. Is all I'll say.
Okay, they
Anyway,
were talking about yeah, like in the I'm
I
talking
think
the,
we're talking about the same one.
but right now I'm talking the Spider-Man stuff where it's literally just here's this
Yes.
one enemy. I'll go over to this one that's right here, and I could be triangle and go boo, 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 boom. Okay, then we go into the
Yeah.
combat.
Yeah.
So I'll say this:
I
the
I
stealth
enjoyed
was,
that bit.
and when I really did utilize the stealth as opposed to just that, and I really played it smart. The stealth had
Hmm.
fun, but the fact that I could just mash one button
Hmm.
essentially and stealth through it all by hitting the button faster than the game could react, it lost some of the enjoyment to it.
Yeah, that's like it's like a speed running thing.
Mm.
It's something about once you find it out, know how to do it the fast way, it is not as enjoyable. But like the first time experience is one of those games where the first time is very fun when you play through it. Now later on, like you'll learn more stuff, and then there is more fun enjoyment of playing it more than once. But one of the fun aspects is doing the stealth stuff while you can.
Right.
There's also like missions where you do specifically stealth. But yeah, I get what you're talking about, and yeah, the thing I like about MJ and Miles sequences, which we haven't even we only had MJ, we haven't had Miles yet, but it's more down to earth. It's more it's not swinging through cities super fast. It's down to earth. You're just trying to sneak by three guys as if Again, it's more of the cinematic part of it. Like gameplay wise, it's okay.
I'll argue MJ, yes, Miles is not down to earth. I'd argue his is worse than the Spider-Man sequences.
All right, but so now where we left off is we're talking about Saved by the Bell before they got into their personal stuff, which again we get more Peter Parker and MJ. We
I,
get the shocking comeback,
I,
which
I will say it. I'll say this right now. It'll be the only time. I loved the MJ and Peter stuff throughout the entire game. I really think that was probably my favorite part of this whole game. Was
yes,
watching them because it was adorable.
mm-hmm. It's another fun part of the entire world that we have with this game, which I love so much. So Yuri will eventually call Spider-Man, tell him about Herman, that Herman is back in action, and as Herman's back doing crime. Apparently what happened is that in the game, Herman was off on parole. He was off as long as he was being watched. He was a-okay, but he was fine. He finally stopped his crime. He was doing good. He served time. He's out. It seemed to be doing all right. He's honestly disappointed because he thought Herman was, yeah, Herman's dumb, but at least he may be smart enough to stay clean. But then something happened. Herman started robbing again. Petty robbery after all the work he's gone through and stuff he's gone through. He's getting paid. Now, either he's getting paid a lot or he's being threatened. Herman didn't even want to talk about it. He just kept going. He didn't give any details. Clearly, he's not by himself. There's some upper person above him, whether it's money or threatening, or both. So eventually, he goes through. Finally catches the Shocker. Shocker, he doesn't tell him anything. It's annoying. One thing I love, the Shocker has only had like 2 moments in the game. I guess technically 3, because I think one of the collectibles, but whatever. No, 2. it's still so fun. It's such a small moment that I love so much. It's just more Spider-Man. It's super cool. But anyway, and Shocker has like his own unique fighting style, like his own game mechanic. So you fight him, you finally get him. It's Shocker I had trouble with the first time when I played it. I had a little trouble with Shocker in the beginning when I first played against him.
Mhm.
But later on, it's still fun. It's a really cool, more cinematic. It implements the fun swinging mechanic, but you also are still having to actively dodge him and try to catch up.
I did
So
enjoy the fight. The first real boss fight was fun.
It challenges your swinging ability, but it's also super fun.
Yeah.
But then eventually, you figure out. Eventually, you catch him, you take him in. You don't know what his motive is, and so, unfortunately, yeah, you don't know what's going on. You take him back to prison. It's very unfortunate that who you thought was good recoverable was not. But eventually, you have the mask, and Peter Parker was saying to MJ, like, "Oh, I could probably, well, I guess Spider-Man," but he was talking to her about, I could take in the mask to Martin Lee. Martin Lee actually has gone to college for this stuff. He's actually gone to college to see these things, and so eventually he goes to Martin. He talks to Lee about the mask, and he's like, "Oh man, like this mask, I was told stories." I was told stories about this as a kid about these demons. This mark on the inside of the mask is the mark of the demon. So he's very worried about it, and he said, "Man, this is really pretty bad. It was just stories, but you might not want to tell. You might want to tell MJ to find a different story and not deal with this." So eventually, he's just like, it's fake, but why bother the risk? So eventually he calls MJ. He's like, "Hey, Martin Lee was pretty shooken up about it. You might not want to do with this." He's like, "Why do you think there's more he's not telling us?" And he's like, and Peter's just saying, "No, I don't think so. I think it's just that. I think it's just that he is had a troubled childhood with his stories, and he's just worried that it may be something serious. You know, he was told stories as a kid. Maybe something happened, but I don't think it has anything to do with it." And then eventually, what does he do afterwards? There was something he like right afterwards. He went to go leave. He went to what is this?
He was going to go.
Oh, Otto called him. Otto called him again.
And Martin Lee was also planning on taking a vacation.
Yeah, Martin Lee. Not yet though.
I thought that was right after that. I thought that's what it was getting ready to do. Is like, hey,
no,
I'll talk afterward. I thought that was that. Okay,
that wasn't until a little bit later.
Okay, so okay, continue.
But yeah, eventually he worked more on the arm. So yeah, he went back to Otto, went to learn more about the arm. Finally, he worked on a new thing, and he actually went to talk about. He actually was using a veteran with the arm. This was the point to where the veteran was, using the arm. They were getting it to work. Finally, they have a person that has the arm in there. It actually is working. That's super cool. But eventually, Norman Osborn goes in and he shuts everything down, saying that the grant was he was given the grant, but he's having to take it away because it's broken a bunch of violations.
Right.
Now, clearly at this point, Norman has written off all these things before, but it's gotten to a point where now he's like, oh, I'm gonna step in and stop this. Now, as last straw, he goes in personally to say, hey, you're done. No more money. No more of the stuff. This is it. And so now they're starting from scratch. Otto's saying, like, Peter's like, oh, we can take everything here. We can start over again. We can try to fix it. And he's just like, I'm sorry. I can't help you. Like, you might want to look for a new job. Kids can't get it to work. Yeah, eventually, Peter leaves. Yeah. So eventually leaves. He's thinking about it. And then he was talking about, gadget stuff. It's shut down by Norman. Like, Norman, it's very unfortunate. I wish Harry was here to, talk some sense into Norman. But he realizes, oh yeah, Harry told me, there was there was his passion project he was talking about. He wanted me to check up on it. He's like, well, it's not gonna get me paid, but I might as well, check on it and see if it's all right. And then this is when you're introduced to Harry's little lab missions and whatnot. It's an extra style of how you can play the game with these little certain tasks. Each one is different from the rest, but each of them serve an important purpose. And with these important purposes, you actually learn more about Harry's mother, and how, it could potentially, most likely, lead up into the next game with how all this is going down. Because basically they're trying to shut it down, but they served an important purpose to make the city better. So who knows, this might actually be involved in the next game. So you figure out the whole thing, you fix it, and then you go to it after the. Oh yeah, right after you fix it, you're then told again, "Hey, Shocker's out again," and then Spider-Man's just like, "Did we literally just put him in prison like hours ago? What happened?" Yuri explains that I should specify Yuri's the one I told him, but yes, Yuri goes ahead and tells Peter, "We forgot to go into the whole combat mechanic thing." With like more like the leveling up part, we talked about the stealth part. But we forgot. We'll get back into it. Let's finish this part first.
I'll pick it apart here in a minute. Don't you worry.
We'll pick it apart here because by this point you've leveled up quite a bit, right?
I think I was already 15 at this point.
We're about to finish Act 1. There's quite a few side stuff available. If you do all this, even if you don't do all the side stuff, you've leveled up quite a bit for it to make a difference based off of what we're about to talk about. But finally, you go to the Shocker, you get in. I love the cinematic scenes in this, by the way. Like in the beginning, fighting. He's got some new tech. It's mentioned that he's got new tech, but I think it's new compared to what he had beforehand. I think it's both. I think it's the same before and after. But you fight against the Shocker. He explains that these people are scary. They're after me. If I don't stop you, then they'll kill me. So I'd rather fight you and get defeated than not listen to them and get killed over it. Which, by the way, so when he was freed, a police officer let him go and then killed himself right afterwards, and his eyes were glowing while he was doing it. This is one of the things that you realize, man, like this is one of those really down-to-earth games, because not only do people die, but they have people killing themselves in this game. They're being forced to, but it's still a very down-to-earth and very real thing in this comical game. It's just one of the many, many things that are shown up in this game that's real and very pretty scary.
It had its moments that was surprisingly graphic for a Spider-Man game.
Mm-hmm. And again, that's why I love so much about it. But it still has its comical look to it.
Just because it looks cartoony doesn't mean it's for kids. Look at Sausage Party.
Exactly.
Look at Sausage Party.
Yep. But eventually you fight the Shocker. You find out, what is going on about. You find out he's scared. You defeat him. He mentions that it's actually those guys in the masks that they were talking about, these demon characters. And so finally he gets defeated. He talks to Yuri a bit, and he's like this is clearly a problem. And so eventually they find out, we got to find out more about these demon guys. Yuri says, well, turns out the demon guys have been taken out, they've been fighting a bunch of Fisk properties and whatnot. You should go figure, Fisk just got a full bunch of people on one of their properties right now. The demons have been attacking them. You want to go check it out. So eventually he goes and he takes out a bunch of the Fisk people at the dock, which this is where the thing is located. He defeats a bunch of them, and then eventually he is greeted by the Officer Jefferson Davis.
Jefferson's Davises?
I keep on saying Jeffersons. Jefferson.
Meet the Jeffersons.
Yeah, I keep on saying Jeffersons as it's more Jefferson Davis. He talks to Officer Jefferson Davis.
Davis and Jeffers.
Officer Davis. He talks to Officer Davis. He talks to Officer Davis, and then he's like, you can't be breaking in here and just looking around, right? He's like, well, yeah, can't really be doing that. And he said, well, let's do this completely legal search.
I brought a warrant.
I brought a warrant. Let's go in and do this thing legally and clean. He's like, I prefer that. They figure out each other, so they go in, and they're trying to figure out how to get in. Spider-Man figures out a way through the back, and they're like, man, I don't know how to open this door. There's a circuit breaker, but he doesn't really have anything to do it to activate the circuit. Officer Davis gives him a taser. He gets the taser, and he's like, oh, hey, you know what? I can put this into my web shooter. He takes it apart, puts it into his web shooter, shoots the electric web, which I believe this is your first upgrade ability at this point, which actually can work for us to act. This is perfect for us to go talking into the thing, because now we're actually at the next part. So you unlock it. Davis talks about, oh, hey, you're a tech guy. Like, my son is too, which we'll eventually learn is Miles, which is super cool. And at the time, I don't think I knew that at the time, and because I didn't process that that Officer Davis was Miles's dad at the time. But eventually you look through, you realize, oh, that it's a fun little puzzle area. You get through a whole bunch of fun stuff. Figure out, oh, they were storing weapons here. The demons stole the weapons, so they have more armory. They're about to escape. You fight them off, and then eventually you go off to chase after the demons, defeat them, chase them. And when Spider-Man's in a tight spot about to, get hit by one of the demons in a vehicle from one of the trucks that escaped, he got saved by Officer Davis. Davis saved him, which was So he managed to save him. It was a long day. Davis was going to be rushed off to the hospital to see if he's okay. MJ was going to go with him to get more of the story. He now, thanks to her story on the Fisk Museum, now has while yes, everything was bad, and a bunch of legal teams got involved. Now she got promoted. Man, I need to get a drink. Then it's like, man, I'll have time to get some rest. I literally have not slept since the Fisk incident, and so
I thought you were saying you haven't slept. I was like, since when?
No, he has the Fisk incident. So eventually he gets on.
You fought Fisk?
He goes to his place. Wait, hold on. Which part was? Yes. Okay. Yeah. It is this part. All right. I was making sure. I thought it was wrong. Anyway, but it turns out all of his stuff, all the stuff we saw in the beginning, all the Peter Parker stuff, all the Spider-Man stuff, all the gifts, they were all gone. All that stuff was gone from his room. Because again, if you remember at the beginning of the game, they were like, "Hey, you're late on payments. You need to pay now," and he didn't. Were we like 2 hours in? He's like, and yeah. So literally, it was like, oh, he didn't, since the beginning of the game, he didn't get paid. So all of his stuff's gone. He's looking through dump and whatnot. He's calling them. He's like, hey, do you know where my stuff went? Like, well, it's probably one of these trucks. Jeez. And so it's probably one of these trucks. And so he looks around for it. Eventually, after a long struggle, he finds it. And all he's really wanting is a Spidey drive because it has years of information of him being Spider-Man. And so, of course, that's going to be very important. So I managed to get all that. He was going to head off to the apartment of, he's thinking, oh, maybe I could stay at MJ's place. He's like, nah. He's like, I couldn't stay there. And he was like, should I stay at Feast? Let me see. Oh, it shot me straight down. No.
Yeah, next thing you wanted to go stay at Feast. Aunt May had called. Aunt May had actually called and talked about it. And he had
he was thinking about it. He was like, if Harry was around, I'd be able to stay there. Yeah. And so eventually, Aunt May's like, will you come stay at the Feast Center for a while? And so he stayed there for a night. Aunt May gave him some money. And this is the part afterwards where Martin Lee says, I'm going to go on, I'm going to be gone for a bit.
Okay.
And so, this is the part where he's like, I'm going to be gone for a while. Please take care of the place. And she got busy. Peter has some money. And so now he's going to go, he's going to go be Spider-Man again. Not really anything else he can do at the moment. Eventually, we get to the stakeout sequence to where I believe what happened was, so apparently there was a radar going off. And eventually Spider-Man went to go check it out, and it was a little device that said, play me. This is where we get the Black Cat stakeout missions, which I absolutely love the suit after this, of the suit after you complete this mission. But you find a bunch of these little things. It's just another place to find out more of the buildings. You can figure out more of the stuff. It's just another collection thing. But it's cool because Black Cat appears. I'll go ahead and say it's been 5 years. She appears in some of the DLC, which is super cool.
How dare you spoil the DLC that I'm never gonna play? How dare you?
You're never gonna play it. So yeah, but she appears later in the DLC, but she's not in the main game. But it's super cool. It's super fun. Just more Spider-Man stuff. Oh, apparently it was the stakeout, then the couch. Sorry, whatever. Oh, we did it wrong.
Andrew, go get yourself a drink. I'll talk about the combat really quick. Go get yourself a drink.
All right, you do, bro. I've been talking for 90 minutes straight. My throat is dry.
For those who don't understand, Danger's never done something to this degree. This is his first ever podcast. He's ever actually going to be running co-host. But while he's gone, I'm going to say this right now. He can't hear this. I did not care for this game in the slightest. This game got very repetitive very quick. I'm going to say that right here, right now. I'll go into more detail about it later. My cat's going crazy behind me. But the combat aspect of this game, the skill tree system, which I'll go through again with Danger, was very much unnecessary in this game. The levels were much more useful than the skills you got out of it. There were some things here and there you got. Like I got the ability to grab weapons out of the enemy's hands, pistols, machine guns, rocket launchers, whatever, and pull it from them. That was useful. Outside of that, I really cannot think of anything that was ultimately useful among the skill tree system. It was unnecessary for the entirety of the game. I upgrade them. I got hiccups all of a sudden. I upgraded them just so I could say I had them upgraded. But realistically, it was an unnecessary thing for the aspect of the game. Son of a bitch. I got hiccups.
Okay, I'm back.
So I was sitting there saying, man. I'm gonna the skill tree system in this game was useless.
Nope.
Let me tell you why.
Nope.
Let me tell you
why. You can tell me why. I highly disagree with you on so many levels.
I used, out of the entire skill tree system, one ability. And that was the ability to pull guns out of enemies' hands.
There's so much you can do. There's so much you can do.
You could air kick. You could air kick. You could do that.
It makes it easier.
I did do the parkour in the air. I did use that. So that's 4 things out of the entire, let's say 20 things you could use. I found the level system, the skill tree, useless in the aspects of the game because you could go through the entire game without needing that in the slightest.
You could,
and that's
it's harder though. It's much more enjoyable. It's much more enjoyable when you get the other items and you're able to use them against different enemies. One thing I love about the level system, which finally we're talking about, is the level up system. You're able to choose the path you want to level up through.
And that's another thing. Like I like that. I do like that.
So basically, for your aspect, yours would be Web Slinger, which would be the first one you'd go through. Basically, Web Slinger is basically out of the 3 your favorite. And so, if you went through another playthrough again, you'd probably go for Web Slinger first, just so you can enjoy the swinging more, do some extra cool stuff. Because the swinging aspect's your favorite part of the game. There's Defender, there's Combat. Those are very fun. The Defender ones, I personally think at the beginning you should go with more of the Defender stuff. Because again, you can play throughout quite a bit of the game without needing any of the other stuff. Defender is the one you want to go with, especially involving dodging abilities.
Like I said, realistically, when it came down to it, I got stuff. None of it transitioned into the game. Some of it sounded more useful than it actually was. You're about to die. You get a quick slow-mo to dodge out of the way. That's one of your level up things. I did not care much for that. Just overall, like when it comes down to the level system, you could have done away with that itself or made it strictly pick one and stick to it. Because the level system that popped into my head was Infamous Second Son when I first saw this. I don't think you've ever played that game, have you?
Which game?
Infamous Second Son?
No.
Infamous Second Son has 2 routes that allow you to go into multiple skill trees. You pick good side or bad side, and depending on which you pick, depends on what you go. But it's one of those, like, okay, you have... Here's one, your one level. You could pick left or you could pick right. You can't pick both.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they should have changed the abilities around because realistically, like I said, I used a handful out of the 20, so that's why I find the skill tree system useless in the overall aspect of the game. Take away that, the game would be more or less the same.
Mm-hmm.
The best part about the level up was the HP, but you told me early on that's great, but I feel like they should have done
And combat
more.
power, so you can actually take out enemies better. So doing the side stuff makes it easier throughout the story mode as well.
Yeah.
It levels up power, levels up I think gadget charge. Well, no, that's like the other stuff. Which another thing is the gadgets. Whichever gadget's your favorite, you can choose what gadgets you want to upgrade.
Yeah, you got that. That I will also. I'm not gonna say was as useless, but it was near the same vein, especially for how I played.
For how you played, sounds like you just swung the entire time. You did nothing but that, is what it sounds like.
No, I fought a lot. I spent the first 40 to 50% of this game doing a lot more combat than I should have done. I then realized I could swing and combine it, and I had a lot of fun with that. I used the basic web shooter more than anything else in the game.
Like, I just want, like, at some point, we gotta get, and like, while I'm playing the Ultimate Run, because I still want to do that, regardless of after this episode, I still want to do it. It's just fun. But you should just hang out there, watch how I use the stuff, just to see what I'm talking about. And I feel like once you see it through like gameplay, you can realize how much easier and more fun it is.
I can 100% see how it can be used. I'm absolutely seeing how the electric webs can be used. It can dispatch of multiple groups. Same for the web bombs. You can use the trip mines on the thugs to stop them. You can use impacts. Crap, there's too many. Impact. But at the same time, they're not necessary. And that is one thing. When it comes down to games like this, games in general, if they give you an upgrade, they should be necessary in the overarching aspect of the gameplay in the game. So the fact of the matter is, I used the web. I got the basic web thing completely maxed out. There were 2 upgrades, gadgets I didn't even get. Until
so the other ones, you have to like upgrade them yourself.
I didn't even know there were other ones until after I beat the game. It's like, I got all these gadgets. Wait a minute, there's 2 more. And like I said, overall, they were an unnecessary thing. I can 100% see how they can be used.
It does become more relevant to use the rest of the stuff the harder modes you do play.
And that's what I'm saying. I can 100% see how they can be used. The electric web to stop them, fine. Impacts, great. Web bombs, I did use web bombs.
Web bombs is great for crowd control.
Yes, I used web bombs more than once, but it was essentially.
They also work on big guys as well.
90%. Also on the sword ones, where the ones that are like, let me throw a web at you, and they're like, and they okay, let me throw an electric web, okay, fine, fuck you, let me web that one over there.
Yeah,
block
you web bomb the guy next to him to get them stuck. Yeah, and that's like one of the easier ways to get them taken out.
That's what once I figured out how to do that, I did. But like I said, the level up skill tree system should have been changed to where it had much more variety to it, as opposed to, let's say there's 20 upgrades. I think there's more than 20. But
there's more than 20.
Let's say 30. More. Let's say 10.
There's like 3 rows. There's like 3 rows. There's 3 types, and each one had 3 rows.
So let's say there's 30. Let's just say there's 30. There's 3 different things. I feel like it should have had much more to it, but you could only pick one. Like, I'm a web slinger, okay? Everything is web slinger. You can't go into the defender. You can't go into gadget person or whatever.
Different aspect of like, but then you can unlock like all of them in like a new game plus or something.
Maybe. Like, one thing that was going into my head, my head's running through multiple games right now. Mass Effect 2 has a thing where if you pick a specific character, let's take the soldier. You played Mass Effect for a very brief period. You don't understand fully of how it goes.
Yeah.
Specific classes in there can use specific weapons. Soldier uses every weapon. You go Mass Effect 2, you hit a specific point where you can pick up any weapon and choose one class to master. I feel like that's how it should have been. Like, here's your basic thing you can do. All right, you get one upgrade that allows you to upgrade another skill tree. but then you have one that you cannot use. That way, one, it could make replayability factor a whole lot different. Because you could have mix and match. Okay, I'm going to have this one with this one. I'll have this one with that one. I'll have that one with this one, or this one with this one. I feel like it should have done something like that as opposed to, all right, here's your 3, have at it. It allow, like I said, much more replayability because I'll be honest, I'll play this game maybe once a year. Because
you play a lot of games. You play a lot of games, so of course,
like
of course,
even,
yeah.
Like I'm not, and
again, like doing this, like playing Spider-Man for literally days straight, and now doing it ultimate. I'm like, I want to finish this, but after that, I'm probably not going to touch this game for another like a year or two.
I'm just saying this, like even in general, like even if it wasn't this, because I'll tell you this, Danger. You want to know what I did last night? I bought 6 Final Fantasy games.
Yeah, you told me about that.
And now,
you told me...
and then I had all 12 Final Fantasy games on my console, numbered Final Fantasy games downloading. I played through 10 4 months ago. 10's downloaded again. But anyway, like I said, I was not an overall fan of the skill tree system just because it got too mundane very quick. Because okay, I can go upgrade all of this. I was really hopeful at first, like, okay, you level up slowly. Because that's what you said. You said you were however in and you're only level like 29. I made level 29 long before I beat the game. So I'd assume it was a very slow system. But the fact that before I beat the game, I had like 3 or 4 skills not maxed out was kind of a letdown. Especially because I did not do... Before I beat the game, I didn't really have a lot of the side quests done. I think I had like 60% completion. So that was just an overall, my opinion, letdown of it. And then the gadgets, though fun, and I can 100% see the versatility and use, I think were not useful and were unfortunately became a useless aspect of the game.
Oh, what you know, we still got 2 more things, 2 more story parts to talk about before we even finish Act 1.
You know what? I'm going to also go into it, since we've talked about it, and I'm going to go into the nitpicky about this. I'm going to start picking apart your game from here on out.
Hear me out.
Okay.
Hear me out about this part, real quick, before you get on that. Let's keep going, but do you think we should make this... Should we keep going for like another 2 hours? Because we're all just about to finish Act 1, or should we make this a 2-part? Because Act 2 is shorter than Act 1, and Act 3 is only like 6 things.
I think what we should do...
But we will literally record this next part like tomorrow.
I cannot tomorrow.
Okay.
I say speed through, because right in this speed through kind of what's going... Hit the big points. Hit the plot points.
Points?
Like the actual imperative big plot points.
Okay, so I'll basically try to narrow it down into like sentences, basically.
Right, like I said,
that sucks because they're so.
That's what I originally thought we were gonna do. Is cut it down to like,
dude.
Like okay,
it's oh well yeah I'll narrow it down anyway. Strami Camel is what this one's called, but basically it's where you go. It's where you're getting a call that there's a bunch of fights between. Fisk and the demons are going on now. A bunch of fights between them and the whole tower. You gotta basically, you gotta stop each of them from killing each other. So you go and you take them all out. You eventually get a call from Fisk. One of the enemies get a call from Fisk. You answer, say, hey, like, what are these guys? He's like, save my men and I'll tell you. Basically, and then eventually he saves all his men. He's like, the guy on the roof is probably the guy you're looking for. He goes up, and then you have one of the cool scenes, which is actually showed during the trailer of Spider-Man when it was first being announced. Like, the first gameplay was the helicopter scene, which was super cool. Helicopter, you chase that for a while. You have cool cutscenes, whatnot. Cinematic things, super cool. You finish off, and then you finish one of the big guys that work for the demons. Well, one of, like, the head guys. Eventually, you defeat them, and then finally, the award goes to... Officer Davis is now getting an award for what he did for saving Spider-Man, which is super cool. But of course, there's also the Mayor Osborn rally going on. And of course, for the Osborn rally, he's going to announce Officer Davis thanking him for saving the city and saving Spider-Man, give him a key. Of course, he's using it as a whole promotion for him being there. But of course, whatever. But not ruin the fact that foreshadowing not ruin the fact that Davis is getting an award. This is also where we first meet Miles Morales. And then they go on and wait in the audience. And you have more of Peter talking. He's like, we defeated some of the demons. I feel like that's still going to be a thing, but maybe things will get better now. Finally, you beat a few thugs. Fisk's in jail. You got the Shocker. You beat a few of the demons, and what you think is one of the big demons. You think there's more to this, but hey, finally, we're at what we think is a satisfying, happy day. And then turns out there are suicide bombers on the scene, controlled once again. Even more people. Yeah, I realize. Yeah, there's more than just two people. Committing suicide here. It's because we have suicide bombers now. Very real thing, very horrifying thing. Davis sacrifices himself to save one of the officers next to him, and eventually he goes down. Things go into chaos. Peter Parker, he gets knocked out. MJ brings him out, and MJ is very worried about him. Just more you see MJ, even at this point, while they've had a bunch of bad stuff happen in the past, whenever it's life or death, MJ is very worried, literally shaking, freaking out. Miles, the mom saves Miles. Miles goes in and sees the mom's now in danger. He saves the mom. Then he goes in and figures out, oh, the demons, they're taking, they're killing people. They're not leaving people here. They're killing people and blaming it on Osborn, which, by the way, Osborn was pulled aside to get a phone call. And the call was from Martin Lee saying, he's like, all right, what do you want? And he says, I want to just make you suffer so you fall apart. And so, got him out of there. He knew he didn't save anyone. He just got out of there, of course. Miles sees it, and somehow I assume it's just because Miles saw it, and so he knew who. But Peter wasn't there, but Peter knew that it was Martin Lee was actually the one who's been controlling the demons, who's also known as Mr. Negative, which I actually don't think. I don't think he was referred to as Mr. Negative throughout the game. Actually,
He was.
He was?
Yeah. Later on in the game, if you have subtitles on, he would actually always refer to him as it had Martin Lee or Mr. Negative. Then later on, J. Jonah Jameson calls him Mr. Negative because he's talking about Mr. Positive too.
Okay, so Mr. Negative. Okay, because I remembered the name said Mr. Negative, but I never remembered him or Peter saying the name Mr. Negative. So that's where it came from. Mr. Negative, I will say one thing real quick. Never expected him to be such an amazing video game cinematic worthy villain.
I never realized he was an actual villain. I didn't realize he was a real Spider-Man character. I thought that was some original because let's be honest here.
To be fair though, this is a game where there's the Rhino, the Scorpion, the Vulture, the Spider.
Yes, but a man who's inverted a picture is all he is. Let me turn myself negative colors. That is by far the stupidest villain I've ever heard of. What's your superpower? Negativity. What even specifically was his power?
The negative energy he had from the demons.
No, answer me that. What was his actual power? What was
negative energy?
What was he imbuing his sword with that shot out fire?
So you see, he was actually learning ki from Goku, and
entirely, exactly my point.
Yeah, basically.
Mr. Negative is confused. There's no explanation for, at least in the game, what the hell he actually does.
So we just now finished 2 hours in Act 1. Act 2, dual purpose. Yeah, you figure out that Martin Lee's actually him, but Yuri doesn't have any evidence, so you try to get some evidence. So MJ looks up a few things that Martin Lee owned. You go to a few of them, and you figure out more about where they're planning on going. They're planning on hitting strongholds for Osborn, I believe. And so eventually you're like, oh, hey, there's a few of these things that they have. We gotta actually stop them. This is pretty bad. So what you do is you go back to Martin Lee's place to figure out more stuff. You find out, he's talking about. You go to Feast to go to Martin Lee's office, and you see, hey, he's like, you're gonna hear May, you're gonna hear bad things about me, and unfortunately, they are true. You were this place is the best part of me. You basically are that, and so I want you to watch the place for me. And that he's actually bad. Confirms it. Find out more about Devil's Breath, what he plans on doing with it. You don't find out everything about it, but you know that he plans on using it against the city. Yeah. So eventually, you figure everything out. You leave, and then Otto goes ahead and calls him into the lab, and he's like, "Hey, we've been doing it all wrong. Like, listen, I know I won't be able to pay you, but if we can push through, like, I know we can get there." And so eventually, it's like, "Oh, okay." Like, he goes in, figures out it's better. It's better. Now, if you go to the side, it's side stuff. If you go look at it, you find out there is problems with it. Things that it's all right, but we can do better. Dinner date. Eventually, you go over to. I believe this is the part where he gets called. Yeah. Okay. So what happens is that they were talking about. MJ was like, "Hey, I need to tell you about something. Like, come over. Like, we got to meet somewhere." He's like, "All right. Well, what about your place? I'll cook food." He's like, "All right, sure, whatever." They go over to his place or her place. And then she tells him the story about Tombstone, which again, like Tombstone appears as a character. It's super cool. He's got side stuff. Freaking Tombstone, another character which they didn't even have to put in, but they did, and it's amazing.
God, I love Stoner.
No, so eventually, figures it out. He's like, "Man, you did it alone." It's like clearly, I can't tell you what to do. So here's some gadgets because I already know MJ is a character that's she's not gonna listen to Peter, not listen to Spider-Man. So he's like, "Well, if I can't stop you, might as well give you something to fight back with." Which is when I start loving MJ's stealth stuff, when you actually can divert characters and whatnot. I think that's fun and cool. And so eventually, he takes off. He's like, "Oh, please thing." He's heading on his way to the next mission where he got called about. One part which you actually absolutely loved is freaking saying that it was like a killer stew or whatever it was. I don't know. Or what did she say? She said like this like chicken curry. What was it?
Chicken
It was like
curry.
yeah, it was like it's legit, and you just started laughing at that. But eventually, you learn about a scientist that had the thing. You learned about the scientist. Wiki help. Wiki help.
God, you don't have your game
Help.
memorized?
Help! I need to find his name.
Daniels?
Names. Isaac.
Isaac Clarke?
Yes. So what it was is that working with Devil's Breath, Dr. Isaac was the one working on Devil's Breath. He was one of the few. A few other people were actually already killed that were working on Devil's Breath, and currently there's only 2 people alive at this point. And so eventually you go to the location. Excuse me. You eventually go to the building where he is. You fight off the demons. You go up the elevator part, which the elevator part, again, really cool, really cinematic. You go up, you fight more of the demons. You eventually, actually, I think this is when you're introduced to the sword one. I think when you go to the very top, I think this is when you're introduced to the sword guy, because he has his own little cinematic scene when he comes out. So eventually you fight. It's like right before you actually meet Isaac. The sword guy comes out. You're like opening the door, you get shot at, you turn around, you see the sword guy.
Yeah,
do his
that's
dance,
right. Okay, that's Isaac. Yeah, that's right.
Isaac was the guy with the glasses and ponytail.
Yeah, him.
Yeah, so eventually you fight him off, and then Sable got to Isaac, and of course they very quickly stopped him from talking. What's the? Oh yeah, so eventually you get called. It's like oh, we got a call that something was here. Could you go check it out? Because if it's a bomb, yeah, you're sorry with Spider-Man. It's like if it's a bomb, then we want to get the bomb squad in here. But if it's like a science project, it'd be really embarrassing to call a bomb squad for a science project. He's like, yeah, sure, I'll check it out. I'll figure it out. Eventually, he finds out. He goes to check it out, and then there's this guy called Taskmaster. Taskmaster has a challenge for Spider-Man because he wants to learn about him. Someone hired Taskmaster to learn and fight and potentially assassinate Spider-Man.
Is Taskmaster an actual villain? Is Taskmaster actual bad guy?
Yes.
Okay. I figured he was.
He's an actual villain. There's a few stories to where he just becomes like neutral, but basically whoever pays him, Taskmaster, all I'm gonna say is he was done very poorly in the MCU. Very poorly done. It wasn't even. Anyway, but yeah, so you face off, and then the challenges. I love the challenges. I love not the drone one as much, but I love there's combat challenges and stealth challenge, and it's super cool.
Isn't that at this point? This is all the side quests in the game.
So what's in the box is like it's like he's talking about, it's because as you're going through the story, you're introduced to the side quest
I mean,
stuff.
I mean,
But you
like
can go
these are all
through
the
it.
actual side quests that could, like at this point, isn't that all of them?
I think so,
Because
actually.
because
Yeah,
his introduces the challenge tokens. The challenge tokens are
yeah,
the last one.
yeah.
I was not a fan.
Mm.
Like I liked at
We're halfway through Act 2, by the way.
okay. I did like going through and taking pictures of stuff. That was fun. I
Mm-hmm.
like swinging around. I got to see like baby Jonah Jameson, which was absolutely hilarious. I even told you about it, where you see him like painted on the wall, going where Spider-Man, where.
Fun fact: I would go ahead and tell you that is a secret photo. So after you complete the game, an ability you can get is called a secret photo ability. Like there's like the three little abilities you can get on the bottom. If you get secret photos, you get secret photos around the map to take pictures and stuff. And I think you get like a little extra XP, but it's also, again, it's just, if you want to, you could look around the map at what the developers did. If you want to, they're
Yeah,
not
I
forcing you
noticed.
to,
Yeah,
but you
there are
can
other
if you
ones
want
I've
to.
noticed. I think I saw. I don't know who it was, but I saw some random girl's head painted on a building.
Black Cat.
Was that Black Cat?
Was it a black mask, white hair,
Red hair. I think red hair.
red hair?
I
I don't know.
think. I
I don't
think
know
I
then.
saw this like as I was turning the game off and deleting it off my console. It's like I saw this. But anyway,
Mhm.
those those are the two I found the most enjoyable. Outside of that, they all became a little bit repetitive.
Mhm.
Base tokens. Sorry, I had to burp. Base tokens. Go here, take out 5 waves. Congratulations. You had crime stops. Well, go here, catch a runaway car, or beat up these guys. And then you also had the Taskmaster. Taskmasters were gather bombs or get the bombs, find the bombs, find the bombs, find the bombs. Those are all the ones that I realized I didn't complete. I'm not going to tell you. I'll tell you I didn't complete all of them, so there could have been other ones. But the ones I saw were always find the bombs. You had like a minute to find all 3 bombs.
You know what I literally skipped over? You remember whenever they were talking about, when I was talking about how you went to the one of the facilities. We literally forgot to say you left the facility. You met the Sable agents. So literally, let's backtrack a little bit. So
Sable,
just a little bit,
Sable is
just a little bit.
essentially is like an international thing
It's
that
an international mercenary military group.
hates Spider-Man
Yeah. So basically, like what they do is that,
and
Sable.
led by the goddess herself, Silver freaking Sable. My God, her eyes.
But yeah, so Silver Sable is a mercenary who's basically who was able to fight like both, like every interaction against Spider-Man.
Oh,
She
she's a
was able
superhuman.
to
She's
show. Yeah,
superhuman.
she is superhuman.
I
Okay,
read up a little bit about her. She's like a mutant. She's not like
okay,
an actual mutant, but she has like a mutant thing
yeah,
that she is superhuman.
yeah, okay. Yeah, 'cause she was like, yeah, she made it very clear that she was going to be able to take on Spider-Man
That she
if
can. It
needed.
was great
Yeah,
because one
she
of her
can.
things was she like put a gun to his head. He did something. She
Yeah,
got kicked she kicked him to the ground.
yeah.
One thing I will also talk about, they did go into Spider-Man's durability great into this game because Spider-Man's a very durable character. It's
Hmm.
not ever portrayed a whole lot because the villains are, unfortunately, Spider-Man holds back, so he's a wuss,
Hmm.
but he's very much a very durable character, and it shows off a lot in this game throughout, and also some of his regenerative abilities also, which makes it great. But back to the side quests, I found them fun at first, but then they just got too repetitive, especially because there's so goddamn many. There were so many missions.
There is. All right. So next thing, right afterwards. Okay, is there anything else you want to talk about real quick before I continue on going? Because I'm trying to rush just the rest of Act 2, and then
Okay.
we're at the middle point.
Okay.
Anything you want to talk about right now before we
And
keep
like I
going?
said, all right, everything side quest got a little monotonous because everything got
Uh-huh.
too repetitive. As much as I
Yeah,
wanted to, I liked them at
yeah,
first.
it's to that point to where you have to enjoy Spider-Man stuff to give a bother to do all that stuff.
Like I said, especially whenever I
Yeah.
spent like an
At that
extra.
point, yeah, that's where I can see if you're not enjoying, if you're not enjoying a bunch of Spider-Man stuff, then you're not really going to
And
enjoy
that's
it.
why that's what I'll be honest. I lost
Yeah,
enjoyment a bit
that's fine.
early
Yeah,
whenever I saw that there's like 1,000 other side quests to do.
yeah, there's a bunch of stuff there. Yeah. No, I understand that part. Okay, so we are now at we're at the one called Back to School. Basically, you find out that there's three other scientists. which one of them, like the other like there's three other scientists, but one of them was shared picture of Isaac. He needed to find from Charles before. Oh wait, Doctor Isaac. Okay, Isaac was a different one. No, right. Okay. Okay, so here's what happened before. The one beforehand was I think not Isaac. Eventually, they were looking for Isaac. You eventually find Isaac, and he was the one that eventually uh later on, after they got the information from him, took himself out because it was from Isaac that they got the information about Morgan Michaels. Morgan Michaels, the creator of Devil's Breath, which was not supposed to be a weapon, and in fact was referred to as something else. But eventually, you find out Morgan Michaels. You try to figure out about Morgan Michaels. You get to John Wicker.
I will also say while you're looking at this, I was not happy with the little sequence afterwards where he goes to the Halloween party and he smashes a scientist's helmet on the ground and doesn't even apologize.
Yeah. No, I remember. I'm like, what, man? Come on! Because here's the thing. When I was younger, I used to build costumes, and so doing that, like, just any time a project you've been working on gets destroyed, I'm like, come on, man. Especially a glass dome. You know, it's freaking...
So I was literally like, he's like, he basically did all
dick
that.
Move, man. Dick move.
Then also the Rhino guy, who was literally just sitting there chugging like an actual rhino and all that. It was like, I'm the Rhino, hey, Spider-Man.
Yeah. He was very clearly drunk. He was very clearly
He could have said, hey, I'm actually Spider-Man, out of my way, and so he's like, nah.
Oh yeah, so eventually you realize, man, like, I need this information. I need this information from Norman himself. I'm just gonna break into Oscorp Tower. Eventually you go up a huge security thing, which, like, is just crazy, and at that point, I don't even know how they didn't catch Spider-Man at that point. That's one of the things where I'm like, okay, come on, really?
The Sable Tower?
Where he's climbing up the Oscorp Tower.
With the Sable.
And Sable guards are, with all the lights, lasers, literally helicopters. You think you would have seen them by then.
I ran through that. That one got a little bit annoying. Just because...
Yeah, at that point it was a little bit more of just, extending the game a little bit, which, I mean, it's whatever, it's fine. It wasn't horrible. It was just, but eventually get to it and you find out that Norman and Fisk were in a league with each other. They were actually talking with each other, and Norman wanted Fisk to build a lab. And so eventually Spider-Man's like, oh, well, what were they building? What was Fisk afraid of? What was Norman wanting Fisk to build? What is this? And you find out that Devil's Breath is actually a project of GR27. GR27 was supposed to heal people. It was supposed to be something that can help people. So the intentions of GR27 in the beginning were good. But what happened was instead of building up the body, it tore apart the body. So literally, this thing would just atom by atom tear you apart, and it would just it would kill you.
I like that's how essentially a lot of superhero or stupid things sounds. We're gonna make this big thing to help everybody. Nah.
But yeah, so eventually you go. Let's see. Badge reveals Michael is. It's him. It just refers to as him.
Lee?
Charles Standish. Found it. Charles Standish is the name. It was never highlighted, so that's why I overlooked it. It's like I'm trying to rush it. But Charles Standish is the one with the ponytail. My bad. I'm sure anyone who loves this game so much is very mad at me right now.
Anybody who loves... Here's the thing. I don't think they're even understanding what you're saying. They're just probably so furious.
No one is listening this far to a game they are not interested in. Someone's listening this far and understanding it.
Oh, it's not that. It's
So
somebody out there who's enjoying this and really likes Spider-Man, but then they're like, my God, he doesn't think this is the greatest game ever made?
I think this game is amazing. It's really upsetting. I'm trying to finish this whole thing within the next like 20 minutes possible. Anyway, I invited the next Mary Jane sequence. This is where you have like the Bieber thing. This is where it's like I think it's really cool with MJ and like it's more fun because you can actually divert enemies now, which is really cool. I mean, you could before with like obstacle stuff, but now you have a permanent thing you can control to lead the enemies wherever you want to. So eventually MJ goes in, shows she's a reporter. He's like, "Hey, can you tell me stuff?" He was like, "Okay, well, I'll actually, yeah, I'll tell you. All right. I see you're a reporter. I see you're good. Yeah, you're not with either Sable or Demon. So I'll tell you to get the information out there." And then Spider-Man gets in. He thinks that he has a gun, so he thinks that she's being attacked, and he takes him out, not even knowing. And so, unfortunately, and at this point, MJ and Peter get mad at each other. They're back to square one in their whole relationship that they've been going on with.
Peter. You know she's mad if she calls you Peter.
Yep. All right, we're almost.
Come on, Danger.
Strong connections. Eventually, you go back to the lab. Let me double check real quick. Yeah, literally very short. There's barely anything. Anyway, eventually you go back to see Otto, he wants him down at the lab to participate in another test, which basically you go back in, you do some more puzzles and stuff, but turns out he's trying to use the neural interface, right? He's trying to use a simple thing on his head now. Instead of all the wires, he bring it down to a simple little headpiece, and turns out it's actually not too good. Eventually, he's trying to figure it out. It's actually not that good, and he's like, Peter's like, we'll figure it out. It's like, you don't need to worry about it. We'll figure it more out. We'll do more examinations, tests, But if Peter's like, if you use this, it would be bad. He's like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. We'll figure it out. I swear. What is? First day. Okay, so earlier in the mission, they were talking, and I believe it was MJ talking with. It was either Aunt May or MJ talking with Peter, and they found out that one cool thing that Miles could do, with the whole upset part of him losing his dad and everything and going through a tough time, is that don't do that! Don't do that! He just threw Spider-Man disc again. Man, you know what? Now he's not going to play the game for a year. It's going to be until he gets a new one. Anyway, so Miles is on his way to his first day at Feast. Miles, he's been going through counseling and stuff, but that's not working for him. He wants to go and do something. He wants to do something better for the world. He wants to keep busy. He wants to try and improve, but, talking with people about it and people feeling sorry for him or him mourning, that's not going to help him. Miles is a very tough character. And so he goes in.
He was an asshole the first time we met him. He was an asshole. I don't care what you say. I don't care if his dad just died. He was an asshole.
And so what happened is Miles eventually. So obviously when we first meet Miles, apparently he's getting jumped by people. I think so he's about to get jumped. Spider-Man goes in. Spider-Man saves the day. It was super cool. He even teaches Miles how to fight a bit. And Miles, he calls his friend. He's like, "Yo, I just met Spider-Man. It was super cool." He's like, "Oh yeah, you should." His friend's like, "You should have talked about the hacking tech." He's like, "Oh man, forgot about that." "Oh well, maybe talk about it another time next time I meet him." Which the hacking tech is then immediately used. Like it's displayed on a radio. You can display it on the little car, I think. So you basically use it on little gadgets until you eventually run into a Sable thing. That's going to take absolutely forever. So what does he do? He sneaks on by. He hacks the cameras. He hacks the systems, hacks the vehicles, drones. Eventually, he sneaks on through, and he goes straight up to the Feast Center. And eventually, later on, he does let Aunt May know and Peter know that, Sable's really, really cracking down on the area. It's pretty bad.
This is while you do that, I'm going to think about it. The Miles stuff, like I said, was a little more out of this world. He could hack anything. Let me hack this drone. Okay, that makes sense. Let me hack this electronic TV thing. Fine. Let me hack this car. This car that has no computer aspect to it. Let me hack it. Oh, let me hack this generator. That was... I don't care.
Well, to be fair, even in real life, electric cars were starting to become a thing at this time.
Are those electric cars?
I believe so.
But
honestly.
I don't think... I could be wrong on this. Someone out there correct me. I don't think I could download an app on my phone that
Probably not.
This isn't Watch Dogs.
Hey, you know.
But a freaking generator. A generator, Danger. That has no computer. Gasoline button. I'm gonna hack it. That's cool, but that's stupid.
It's like how you're later able to like just hack people at some point. You just
that's
start
essentially
hacking people.
like that's what it is. Or that thing over there has one piece of copper in it. Hacked. Oh, that over there, I just got shot with electricity. Hacked. You there, you have a prosthetic arm. Hacked. Just like so that was a little more out of this world for his stealth aspects. It was cool. Do not get me wrong. That was very cool. It gave me Watchdog vibes. I love Watch Dogs, but come on. There's got to be some realism in there.
All right. We are on to... Okay, we literally have, what, 5... 10, I think we have, like, 15 left. We're so close. Alright, collision course. Basically what happens is that, Sable is, like, taking Morgan Michaels too, but just warning Spider-Man, like, they're at this point ready to shoot you on sight, so he's like, alright, I'll just be in the neighborhood. Eventually they get jumped by the demons, they take Morgan Michaels, and they take him to this super vehicle tank thing, which turns out, like, earlier on, if you figure it out, Tombstone was building those for them.
Stoner?
Got a chop shop on him. No. Anyway. But eventually he built those, they got away. Yeah, literally the one that got away. They eventually got away and he didn't know what to do. But eventually, Martin Lee, after he stole the Devil's Breath, he went to, I believe this is when they went to, this went to the Grand Central Station, which I really want to talk about after this. So I'm really trying to finish Act 2, and then we can talk about a whole bunch of stuff. Do you want to talk about something now?
I love the Grand Central Station.
I love the Grand Central Station, dude. It was like
my favorite MJ part.
It was good. It was good MJ part. Like the stealth one in this was done better. You couldn't 100%. Just spam triangle on everyone.
Well,
it was done better.
Okay. Like this was early on. It was early on. I figured this out, and I realized I could break the game doing that, so I stopped doing that to appreciate the game. Spider-Man stealth was spotty. I like this MJ aspect of it, where you basically use out there. I'm going to cut ahead and take your fire for a second. You were playing as MJ you were MJ playing with Spider-Man. Hey, Peter, take out this guy. Hey, Pete, take out this guy. Peter, take out this guy. Let me throw this guy over here so you can do that. I like that aspect. That is what I feel like how stealth should have been utilized in this game. Is because I agree. They functioned a lot with the basic humans. MJ and Miles, they should have had something more to them than just scuttlebug.
Like maybe like closer to near more end of the game, but Grand Central was a good one to have MJ and Miles in the same thing, and they did different stuff. Or who knows? Literally, like you could have had, like there was talk about like the drone. There's like on the monitors. The drone could have been in the building, and he hacks the drone. Like Miles hacks the drone to take out a guy. He hacks the invisibility thing to like hide someone or something. Like he could have done more stuff there. So that would have been really cool. Yeah.
There's a lot when it comes down to that. I feel like come the end of the game, until we get to the bosses that's gonna come up, they didn't know entirely what they were doing. And then come the end of it, they finally started to get a hang on their own game.
I'm not really sure how the order they developed it in. Usually you can figure out what they're doing. But one thing I do think they did was try to get the boss sequences done right. Like I think they really wanted to make sure that each boss was a little different, like the way you fight them is different than each other one. Yeah. Like they didn't want two bosses to be exactly the same. One that was close was Electro and Vulture, literally like the same boss, just different.
You also had
aesthetics.
Mr. Negative in the final fight with Shocker. Those two
I say it's a little okay.
Those
Similar.
two were almost neck and neck because what you had to do, the only difference was with negative, he summoned out a big monster. Shocker went to the middle and did a
And
big
enemies
shockwave.
and like
I'm just
negative enemies like
okay,
NPCs.
fine, you got that, but it's also just essentially I'm gonna cut into this to save us a little bit of time.
That's fine.
I was not a fan when it came down to the bosses. The bosses.
I hope you all have enjoyed Games and Gamers.
Okay, I will tell you this.
Unfortunately, I want to end there. I'll see you guys.
The only bosses I enjoyed in this game, I enjoyed fighting Rhino, and I enjoyed the absolute last boss. Outside of that, what you do with Kingpin is pretty much how you fight every boss. Mash, 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 mash. Okay, let me pull up my controller for reference. Mash, 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 web shooter. Mash, 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 attack. Mash, 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 finisher attack. I'm sorry for saying, I'm sorry, Danger. You'll be able to do this in a lot of them, but this one was very much repetitive. Playing entirely through, it was entirely a very repetitive game for a lot of the aspects of it. Even the basic enemies. Danger's not looking happy. I don't know if he's tired or just upset what I'm saying. Probably a combination of both.
Yeah, both.
But
we're so close to being done. It's so close.
But the basic enemies in this game, there were 5 enemies in this whole game. Normies, thugs, weapons, shields. Then we'll say 6. Then you had the flyers from Sable, and you had Sword Guy. Essentially transitioning the whips that were all just reskins of them that didn't add a whole lot more to it. I understand to a point they can only do so much, but they had multiple factions that were just reskin of the same thing. Basic thugs, okay. Demon thugs, all right. You got Sable guys, okay. Then you got the police thugs, okay. It all got a bit repetitive because it's all just a reskin of the thing. And
yeah, I do agree with that. That there is a bunch of reskinning in the game. Yes,
and I
agree with that.
And that's one thing when I really fought the bosses. That's pretty much all it is. Is it's not a reskin. That's an insult to the bosses. The bosses were fun in their own respective manner, but in the end, it was just the same idea every single time.
It's same idea, but different executions, though. Because think about it, Vulture and Electro, you were in the air pretty much the whole time. You're just constantly swinging around, like you are actually having to dodge stuff because you're being shot from 2 different directions at the same time, like half of the time. Rhino and Scorpion, yes, you're being shot from 2 different. Like you have one guy just chasing after you, that's like a different pattern. While Scorpion, he's jumping around shooting you. So while one's just straight line every time, one's jumping around to different areas, shooting you in different areas. Like, they can take out different ways.
Like I said, that's why I like the Rhino aspect, because you had to utilize the world around you to fight him. That was a good mechanic. Outside of that, there really wasn't a whole lot of variety with it. I am sorry to tell you this, because I knew you were going to hate this. But
anyway, we're gonna continue.
Yeah, we'll continue. Then I'll continue. Then I'll finish my thoughts because I've got a little more.
Anyway, yeah, the one that got away. He tried to release Devil's Breath. You managed to stop it, and this is at the point to where they started respecting each other more as like partners. Fighting against people. MJ actually felt like she was helping. She was being held back. That she was actually being able to make a difference, not just be the one behind the computer,
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually is where you fight against negative in the train, which I actually, I enjoyed this a little bit. It wasn't a whole lot, but it was still fun enough. It did get difficult. It's basically just a very fast. I guess we go to say it's like a. What's like a rhythm basically, but it's not the same thing though because it's random.
Rhythm would be kind of the same is the right word.
It is similar. Breakthrough is whenever you finish all this, you finally go to see Otto, and this is where we finally see the claws. We get to actually see
Finally, we're almost 2.5 hours.
Pull up the wiki right now. Pull up the wiki right now and go to breakthrough. This is where, by the way, if you go to breakthrough, you'll see how close we are. By the way, to actually finishing this,
Okay.
we are getting close. We're literally three sections away from finishing Act 2 and then Act 3. But if you go to breakthrough and just look at the image that it has, it just looks like just oh. If you look at the image on if you click breakthrough, there's like a little image for mission details. You just oh.
Okay, fine. That's funny. Fine.
Oh man, come on.
My work, Peter.
All my stuff I did. No.
All right.
If you could please
the
put
arms
it on
were
screen.
fun. I was very upset. I liked Otto. I was very upset of his neural
yeah, like he said before this part, like my body's falling apart. Like
I thought he meant that as old age. I thought he meant that as old age, not
no. Like it literally, like yeah, like eventually.
Is that
even
comic
near the
accurate
end,
or is that in game?
yes.
Thing? Okay.
I do believe yes. So it depends which one, but most variants, there's even some where he loses his limbs entirely. There's like literally one where he becomes literally just like a torso and a head stuck in a little like robot armor. Like
that makes me sick to my stomach.
He lost all 4 of his limbs.
It's hard to make me sick, but I don't know why. That may be.
Bro,
sick.
I don't know what it. I think it's because I've been talking nonstop, and I've only eaten twice today. I felt like throwing up a little bit ago. That's why I was like letting you take the wheel for a bit.
Quick, let me go puke. Let me go puke.
Out of the frying pan. Here we are finally at the end of Act 2. Which, jeez, it's so long. It's so worth it though. Out of the frying pan. So what you get a call and it's Yuri saying like this is big, right? Like the prison, the raft. Okay, so the raft. There was 2 different ones. No, the raft was the big one. Rikers. Okay, Rikers prison and then the raft. So Rikers prison has been attacked and someone's broken it. Like something's happened and now criminals are breaking out. You're stopping a bunch of them, and then Spiderman's like, is the raft good? It's like, the raft's fine, it's good, but the Rikers is going crazy. They're breaking through and whatnot. So they go and you beat a bunch of thugs. You help a few officers. You go through. You finally feel like you prevented a mass escape. Like we got this. We're good. Then the raft starts to blow. You go away and a bunch of the big criminals, the big ones, all these very dangerous guys are starting to break out. While he stops a few of them, he goes through. It turns out, I think the first one he runs to is Electro, I believe.
Yeah.
I think it was Electro. They go through, eventually see Scorpion's tail at one scene. You try to go through, and then eventually Scorpion tries to get you. But then, I think an explosion happens and he escapes. See a bunch of damage has been done, like things ramming through walls. Turns out, now it's the Rhino. It's breaking through things. You keep going. Eventually, you get outside. You chase Electro for a bit. He leads you on. It's like, it's one big plan. Eventually, get to the top to meet Electro. Then the Vulture gets there. Then I think Scorpion gets there. Then the Rhino gets there. Mr. Negative's there. He's getting taken on by all these guys. Like one on one, and even 1-on-2. Like he's got it right.
This is another prime example. If Peter just let loose, did a little more, I feel like all of them could have been knocked out.
I feel like if he went all out, right, all out life or death, he could have.
This is the Batman effect that makes me hate Batman. He could have put the effort in and stopped it before all the chaos ensued. He could have taken out all these big bads before the city got attacked, got destroyed, as what we're about to get to. But he didn't.
Yeah.
His morals...
And then eventually Dr. Octavius reveals that he's the big one. He's Dr. Octopus. He's the one. He's the ultimate big bad.
Dr. Otto.
And then we finally get into Act 3. After Peter's been out for a while, he's in a hospital, we get into the fire. Now we know that the entire place is running with Sable agents, prisoners, thugs. Like, it is bad. It seems like it's literally the end of the world, right? And then, it's into the fire. Eventually, they're trying to fight people off. Rhino's destroying a bunch of stuff. I think it was Okay, so it was Electro and Rhino. Yeah, Electro and Rhino were attacking two different um police stations, and so you had to go each to each one. You choose which one. I always end up running into Electro first, um, and so eventually you go in, you defeat them, you defeat Electro, you go defeat Rhino, and then finally, you wore them off long enough to finally finish and feel like you're fine. Uh, right. Okay. Here we go. Here's the next part. I was like, there's the next part. Yeah. So, Mary Jane calls, like over time, they're calling Peter, like saying, "Hey, we kind of need help at Feast. Like things are pretty bad." Then Mary Jane, she eventually calls and says, "Like, hey, things are bad. Like literally everything is on fire." And so eventually, he goes in, he saves MJ, Miles, and Aunt May, and then eventually he starts to fall, and then they save him. And so, it's for him to more realize that, he can't do everything on his own, especially now when there's literally like it's already hard enough for him, but now there's an entire city. Like there's no way he can do it on his own. And Devil's Breath has been released on the city. It's bad, and they're trying to find an antidote. Pick up on the trail. They're looking. He finally finds the everyone's sick. He's trying to figure everything out. And eventually, he gets to um, a lab where where the Devil's Breath was released. He found a tower nearby. He got to it, and eventually he finds Doctor Octopus's lair. Finds why he's helping all of them, what each of their motives are. Like again, it's just more stuff. You learn more about the villains. You learn more about each character, and you learn their motive to what they're doing and everything they're doing it for. Whether it's personal reasons they agree with him, whatever it is, they are working together, and it is a very dangerous force. So eventually, we potentially found something for a cure. So what happened was, he's trying to poison the water supply. Scorpion's trying to poison the water supply, and each of them are doing their own thing, right? Each of them are doing their own thing to attack the city and basically end New York and to end it. All these guys are crazy. So finding out from there? So he finds out that Scorpion will poison the water. Once the water's gone, that's it. The city's over. So that's like the most important thing is to save the water. So he goes in, he gets poisoned, he finds a cure for himself, he hallucinates, he talks to Octavius, he tries to save the illusion of Octavius in his mind, and he fights with himself in learning about, is he savable? I can save him, why not? He's like, no, you can't save him, it's been bad, it's all your fault, blah, blah. It's a battle with himself. It's a battle with the auto he's known and what he's realizing it's hard for him to learn. He goes to one of Harry's research stations, which this is like, excuse me, this is like the second time you actually see it in the whole story if you're not doing side stuff. Supply run. Scorpion and Rhino are taking out the supplies and whatnot. You play as Miles, who is trying to get the antibiotics for Feast, which they eventually find a bunch of them. So the original place was with Sable International with all those stuff. Then Chrono's broken, Rhino helped with that, and then, yeah. Eventually all of that, broke through. Eventually, Spiderman then goes in. He fights against the Rhino, against Scorpion. Very fun fight. You manage to take each of them out. You manage to now save the supplies. So now you've saved the water and you've saved the supplies. You've now taken out 3 of the guys already. I feel like I'm missing something.
I mean, it's good enough. Essentially, you got to go start taking out all the aspects of the Sinister Six.
It's not this one. Where is it?
At
some point, you fight against Electro. You fight against Electro and
Vulture.
Yeah, but it's pick up the trail street. Is pick up the trail where you fight? Yes. Okay, that's what. Okay, I'm remembering now. Remember, as soon as he escaped the lab, Vulture got him and wore him down. Then Vulture brought him to Electro. Then they fought. Yes, that's what it was. And then they fought him before they could take out the electricity. So it was electricity, then water, then supplies. Step into my parlor. Yeah, so this is one of the fun stealth missions where you play as MJ. MJ now has a taser. This is where the fun begins. Super cool, sneak around, you get to take out guys. You can sneak, I'm pretty sure you can sneak out through while only taking out maybe 4 guys.
You don't even have to take them out.
Yeah, you just sneak on through, but it's a lot easier.
This is also another one that really set in stone of just running on through. I talked about it early on about I just essentially I made one mistake the first time, got caught because I didn't see a dude, waited about 2 seconds, and ran on through without actually having to do this because it has a stealth sequence. Taser or not, I
Yeah.
did tase. It was fun, but it's another one of those of shoddy. I'm not shoddy. Shoddy's the right word. Incorrectly done stealth because it didn't fully understand the stealth aspect.
Mhm. But yeah, so they're trying to get in to get information from Norman about, trying to get information about the Devil's Breath, trying to get information about where it is, because they're trying to find it. They don't know where, I think it was Morgan Michaels. They're trying to find Morgan Michaels, trying to find the whole thing, trying to find, the Sable International soldiers, trying to get past them, and then she learns more about the people. She learns more about what it was. They learn about Mr. Negative, about his origin. They learn about they learn about how Harry is actually away because he's sick. So throughout the whole thing, we know Harry was away on his vacation trip. He's been gone for like a year. It turns out he's actually going to get help because he was dying. He had his disease that his mother had. Um, so yeah, eventually they find that all they find that all that and they escape. They realize, I like that, like this is it. Like we gotta figure it out. Figure out where they're hiding. We figured it out, and so now Spider-Man's got to go and fight uh Negative. So he tried to go across the city to find the Devil's Breath anti-serum because it exists. They have it, and so they're trying to find it. Um, he headed off, and so Mr. Negative, he captured Norman, he captured Michael Morgans, and he was going to finally kill Norman Osborn. Spider-Man, he fights through a bunch of people, and he finally gets in. Sable troops show up with a bunch of stuff to try to actually stop Spider-Man. Spider-Man gets through him, and he talks to Sable. He's like, "Listen, if we don't work out together, like this is it. They're gonna die." So they decide, like, bygones be bygones. Gets in. He finally talks. He talks Martin Lee into not going through with it, to not killing Norman, and saying no, it's a lot. He had to fight his demons, but finally he got through with it. Uh, Doctor Octopus was, he's like, oh, I'm tired of this. He takes out. Well, no, so he doesn't take out Lee. He takes out Spider-Man. Like Lee's defeated. It's over for him. He fights Spider-Man. He easily takes out Spider-Man. One thing that Doctor Octopus has always been known for in comics and stuff, and in cinema, he can 1v1 Spider-Man. He has learned many ways to nearly defeat, if not defeat, Spider-Man. Many ways. And so, you can literally see just how destructive, violent, and powerful this intelligent being is. And so it's why he's just super cool. It's why the scene's just like, man, like that, like it's like, what can you do? Eventually, Morgan Michaels and Silver Sable take him to Feast. Sable from this point learns, like after seeing what's been going on, she learned her ways. She left, and she took most of the people out. Anyone staying, they're rogue. They're just rogue people, and so of course, at that point they can't stop him. He's broken. He's got to stop this. And he finds out that Aunt May, like, she's dying. She doesn't have much time left at all. It could literally be any minute now, and she's gone. He's defeated, and one thing that's been a dynamic through this entire thing, that even though it's been 8 years, Peter has always separated Peter Parker and Spider-Man as just two different personalities, basically two identities. And one thing that MJ talked to him about near the end, they've been fixing their relationship this whole time, talking more, and her being there for him, like she said, like she said to him that you need help from Peter. You don't, Spider-Man can't do it all. Maybe Peter can think of it, because Peter literally helped build those arms. He was there since the beginning to the end. And even earlier on, after the whole hallucination thing, he asked MJ, like, like, when is it that you give up on a friend? Like, what at one point do you give up? She was like, "Man, that's tough. Like, whenever you think they're no longer the person you remember. They're no longer there." And so eventually, he builds himself a suit that is basically literally it's literally a suit form of the claws. So he's able to actually take them on. Which the suit looks really cool. It's not my favorite, but it looks really cool.
I don't understand how Peter made it in like 5 minutes. Walks in, all right, let's do this. Walks out.
I don't think it was 5 minutes. I'm sure it took some time. They had the whole slideshow effect.
I don't think it did because he carried Osborn, and I don't think it took him longer than 30 minutes to make it to where he was needing to go.
But well, to be fair, he was walking with someone, going from the arms. I'm just saying that.
I'd say
I don't know, honestly.
Yeah, it's just it's
like an hour.
Yeah, we'll say an hour. So then it took him probably 30 minutes,
like half an hour. Yeah, and that's still fast though. That is still fast. Mm-hmm. But
smart or not, I don't care. No,
still a little. Anyway, whatever.
Screw your Spider-Man.
He goes to fight. He goes to fight, and he finally. We're at the end where. He actually so at the point Silver Sable calls the Spider-Man, knows she's leaving, having doubts in her chosen life, and that she's taking a bunch of her soldiers, but some of them will remain, and eventually there's no time left. That May is in a very bad condition.
She dies.
And so it's really bad.
She dies.
Yuri's a bunch of them are infected by Devil's Breath. Like it's bad. Bunch of people are infected at this point. It's really.
I'm gonna stop you really quick. The May stuff, because he unfortunately that you talked about one or the other. I love the dilemma they gave Peter Parker. Of
yes.
Do I save who raised me, or do I save this? And I almost shed a tear when I was like, please. Take off the mask. Let me see my nephew one more time. I was like, oh, Aunt May, you old hag. You knew. And I love that. That was so sweet. That was such a sad moment. And then he's I don't know what to do. You do. And I know what I have to do. I just don't know if I have the strength to do it.
I know. Like, that's one of, it's so good. The character writing, like the designs are amazing. All the designs are really good, but also like the character writing. I was
sad whenever May actually died. I thought there was gonna be some sliver of hope.
But yeah, you're like, oh, there's gotta be, Ben is the one. We all are used to Ben dying. That trauma is long lived through. We joke about it at this point, but like. The fact that you literally were so close. It's like, oh, she's about to die. Don't worry, we'll save her. Everyone will be happy. Yay. And she dies.
And then that right there.
So many people. Yeah.
Goes even further into what we're going to talk about here in a little bit.
Yeah.
But, oh my God, is done. It was done very well. Because you get attached to these characters. The Devil's Breath comes into it and your characters start to die. You see May getting sick. And you begin to wonder about that, and it's great.
It's always in the back of your mind. Think about anytime they're brought up. One thing, here's what makes it harder is the delivery.
Mm-hmm.
Now you talked about it, right? We still haven't got to him. He's known Otto for a very long time. He's seen this man, this amazing person get defeated, destroyed over time. You're fighting against him, and then it turns out, like, you have to realize. The first one was Otto was like, oh, I know it's you, Peter. It's like you knew this whole time, like you knew, and he's like, oh, like I had to do it, I couldn't let you defeat me.
Oh my!
You have to realize you have to realize for the Aunt May, the reason it was so impactful is not only that whole batch, but the fact we just came back from Otto. Like like I was trying to deliver first was Otto, then May. Like Otto, it was a whole thing of learning that this was like a person
where he knew it was Peter.
Yeah, he knew it was Peter.
This also solidifies the opening aspect of it where he thought, but that right there, I was telling my dad about this. Fun fact, my dad has listened to this, our first episode. He thinks we go way too in-depth in this. It's just the game. Dad, fuck you. But I loved I made the joke. I didn't make it as a joke. I love Spider-Man for the ending. Why? Because it's over? Well, yeah, but no. I loved the whole ending fight because that was by far my favorite fight of the entire game. It was actually different. It was the same web, but you had to do more than your absolute web shooters. So you had to have like 11. You had 10 webs. You had to shoot like 11 or 12. Made it fun. So more to you actually had to wait. You get attacked in that. But then
Fun fact, real quick. In my first playthrough of Spider-Man, I completely forgot that upgrading stuff was a thing. And so I just had like the 5 webs the entire time.
Same.
And I had to fight Dr. Octopus with just 5 webs the whole time. I forgot upgrading was the thing on my first one.
I forgot upgrading was a thing after I got that one maxed. And then like at the final thing, it's like, oh yeah, I can upgrade stuff.
Yeah, you can upgrade your web. Yeah, I completely forgot it was a thing.
But
so
like
I just had bad, horrible webs.
The music with it, the music in this game was very generic for a superhero thing. I would say. Sorry, Danger. I'm sure you loved it.
It matches the theme.
It does.
If you listen to all of Spider-Man's songs, it matches well.
I'm not. It
fits in, but it's different. It fits, but it's different. It's not the same thing, but it's the same formula. So it's not super. It's different. Spider-Man's songs are different than most what we think of a superhero song.
I would say it's very, when it comes down to like a Spider-Man,
it is a little generic, but that's
what I imagine Spider-Man. This is what I
yeah. That's been Spider-Man's whole thing, is like, it's a generic, nice song. You don't hear freaking, Avengers music when Spider-Man's there. You don't hear, Goku powering up when Spider-Man's there. Like, you don't get these action-packed or super mighty songs. You get the friendly generic
That last song, though, where you're fighting against Otto was very impactful. Made it all great. And then go into the overall final fight, where I don't even think you can actually lose. We're on the thing after you...
But, dude, the voice acting...
Yes, was
amazing.
It was. Otto was great.
Both of these people sounded like they were in anguish. Like they've gone through this. They were the characters. Like, how could you? They made it personal, and that was amazing. The voice acting in this game's amazing.
Let me pull this up. It goes into this final thing where Peter is fighting Otto, and then he also is like, you knew? And then you knew! Then it goes to the voice acting.
The second you knew.
Then you realize, oh shit, he's fucked. But then he wasn't. He should have literally been pissed, like, fuck you, Otto! Bam! And sent him to the ground. Because he ripped off one of the legs, and then you realize he's serious. And then he's like, Peter boy, you look tired. And my favorite line from this entire game is 4 simple words. Or 5. Or 6. I'm not tired. I'm just hurt. I do not know why those few lines resonate and are impressive. I guess it goes back to my old football times where I wasn't tired. Hayden, you're running slow. You must be tired. I'm not tired. I'm hurt. And that's anytime I get stopped. I don't get stopped because I get tired. I get stopped because I get hurt. And I love that right there. The music with it, the punching, the fighting, the combat. And one thing I was constantly doing. I don't know if you did this, but I like doing this because I like fucking with things. Even in the middle of the fight, I'd constantly do the web shooting, even though it was broken. Just to hear him say, the web shooters are ruined. And the pain, the anguish in his voice as he's saying it was just, I don't know if you actually noticed this or not, how well you picked it up on. I loved it. It goes very well into the voice acting. They went a little too hard into a freaking let me tell you this. Let me tell you. No, they did well. Do not get me wrong. They did absolutely well. But they did way too much for a game that wasn't even certain how it was actually gonna do.
No. I still
it was
think
done well. I'm not going to argue that. It was done really well. But imagine like a one shot of something where these people are getting paid $5 and they're acting as if they're getting paid $1 million. That's what I'm saying. Is
they
like
were.
this.
These are big
No, I
time. These are
know.
big time.
I
Yeah,
know. It's the voice of Sasuke and all this stuff.
yeah.
But I'm just
Like
saying, like,
this guy's. It's super cool, and the fact that we have it, I couldn't see it being done any other way, and it
I
being
know.
as impactful
And
as
like
it
I
was.
said, and I'm not dissing it in any way, shape, or form. I just
And again,
was.
one other thing, one other detail is that if you remember, his armor was partially broken.
Mm-hmm.
This armor that was supposed to prevent it, and literally, he's fighting like against it, and not get stabbed by it, And so it's like some of us have to make like the harder decisions. He's like, yeah, he's like, we have to. He got stabbed by it, and then like I think he yanked the thing off the top of his.
I did like.
neck.
It was very cool. It showed a lot of the Peter stuff where he gets stabbed by Otto.
Yeah.
And then rips it out. Like he gets himself stabbed even
Yeah.
more to do it. This game was a lot more brutal than I thought it was going to be.
But it's so good.
It was. Like I said.
It cover, like on the cover, if you see like the characters, right? You see the characters, you see all these things, you don't realize how real it gets. And it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
It is amazing. And like it's with this that I'm excited if they did any other franchise. We know Wolverine's coming up.
I want to be more violent. I like the fact they went a little far with the violence. I want it to be more violent.
One thing is I don't see them going. Like I can see it being as violent, but I don't see them going more violent than that.
I'm not saying like an R
rating. They can,
or M
because Venom himself is a very violent character.
I'm not wanting it to be an M-rated game, but they could have had a little more blood in there than like it would really show it. Like
one character that I would love in this style, Deadpool, if it was done like this. If Deadpool was done like this,
it was really, we do, and it was done very well. We're gonna have to talk about it on our in Games and Gamers eventually.
We'll talk about it at some point. Yeah, I actually think we have it actually for the Xbox.
I don't. I'll have to find it.
Maybe I think we have it, but it would be cool. But I'm talking about like modern day cinema, amazing. Okay. Like like a new Deadpool game done by Insomniac. Well, so like this game, amazing DLC. I mean, I don't think I'll ever play it, but I'll tell you, it's also super fun. The second game, incredibly hyped for it. Wolverine, I like with this.
Wolverine's gonna be M-rated. I'm ready for that.
It is, and that's why I'm not worried. I'm not worried about Wolverine. I'm not worried. I am hyped for it. Insomniac has put my bar high. They have put my bar high because they did amazing. They did so well. They put my bar high.
Very fair. I got a lot of games that are
especially since it's M-rated. It's M-rated, so it is high.
All right.
But I'm super. I love this game so much.
I think we can go into the final bit, and I can go in the final little bit of it. And I'll go because that way I can take away some of give your voice of rest for the past 2.5 hours. So after you, unfortunately,
worth it.
After you defeat Otto gets thrown onto the table. Almost looks like his back is broken. The way he's acting, he's not really moving. He's like, Peter, no, don't do it. Like I said, voice acting was very phenomenal. It was.
Remember, his body was deteriorating, so like he's stuck like that. He's literally like very. Can't move. Like
he was
just can't move.
Like I said, the game prior was done very okay, very decent with the voice acting. The ending bit was my favorite part because the emotions were put in there. The fighting was great. Everything was done in the most spectacular way that it could have been done to the entire game. If every fight was as incredible as this one, it would have got a higher rating by me. I'll tell you this right now. But he does that, and he's eventually like, Peter's literally trying to decide what he wants to do. Do I want to send Otto here? Do I want to help Otto? It's like, hey, you promised you'd help me. Yeah, I promised. I'll help. And you'll get the help you need in prison. Leaves him to go. You hear the earth screaming Peter as he walks off. Then it more or less kind of cuts to, like, I think it's 3 months later? Yeah, it's 3 months later.
Mm-hmm.
Peter and MJ are meeting in a bar, not the bar, what, Mixes?
the pizza place.
Yeah, where they get the French fries, the best French fries in New
Yeah.
York.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bitch a little bit. I like their thing. I did not care for MJ's reasoning for breaking up.
Yeah, I can
It
see
was
that.
stupid.
I can see that.
Let me elaborate to
But
you as to why.
yes, I do think it was dumb.
Yo,
But I also see the other side of it.
yeah. She
Literally,
was
okay.
afraid. She wanted to get broken, wanted to break up because she was being babied. You know the shit she was doing? Going into heavily military bases, running
Yep.
around the big bad guys. And she's
Mhm.
afraid that she's getting babied. She could literally die at any moment. You're
Oh, it is
babying
reasonable.
me, Peter! It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if frickin' Wolverine's over there on a killing spree. You're babying me. She was just being a bitch.
But she's always been that character that is gonna go into these intense fighting areas.
I mean, she shouldn't complain to your baby. She should understand why he's protective
she
of
should.
her.
She should.
That's why she's just this was a bad rendition of that part. The relationship was great. The reason they broke up is stupid. It's literally I've talked very negatively about this game. I know I have positives to it. I promise I do have positives to it. I'll get to them in a second.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
He's sitting back there. For those of you who don't know, he's sitting back there with a checkboard
I'm waiting.
and has a tally mark every time on a negative.
What I have a full thing for this.
Oh, is he actually about to pull up a list of negatives?
I'm about to pull up a list of positives. All right, we have a whole video of you talking negatives. No. We better get a whole list.
Anyway, like I said, they were done right. I feel like her aspect was not justified because it's like, oh, Peter, I ran from the rhino and I slapped him, but you're babying me because I want it away. You agreed with that. You agreed that it was stupid, so you can't call that a negative thing. You agreed with it. So I'm put 4 down because there were 4 of these that you did not agree with entirely, in my opinion. Put 4 tallies.
4 disagree.
Yes. Because the boss fighting, the skill tree system, the gadgets, and the overall aspect of how the world worked.
All right, we got dis, we got pro, right? We got four dissing already. All right, then we're waiting for 1 pro. The ending. All right, there's 1.
I love the ending. It's by far one of my favorite game endings, and I'm not even saying that, oh, the game's done. It's just, I like the actual ending of the game. One other positive aspect about this game I did like was you very much feel like you're Spider-Man when you're traversing through the city. The web slinging, swinging, slinging, jumping, all this was very fun. I enjoyed that. Another part I did like, though it got a little repetitive, was in the hallucinogen, like when he was hallucinating, where the poison's rising up, you got to stay high. That was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I do not know why. That was cool. Swinging through, having the scorpion tails pop out was very fun.
One thing I'm going to talk about real quick, because it was the thing we didn't talk as much throughout the thing that I wanted to, is the combat mechanic. I love how they did it. I personally really enjoy how they did it. You can shoot a bomb at the enemies. You can stun all of them. You can then grab one, swing them around, throw them away, and then, maybe towards the wall or over the ledge, and then you stop them. You see the other guys, you can hit them with a boost, and by that, like, hitting them with the propulsion, you then knock them back, and then, like, half of them hit the wall. Then by the time they break out, there's a big guy. You can either take him out with the focus bar or use your abilities. Like, there's a bunch of different fun stuff you can do. And as you unlock those things, there's like with the whole skill tree, you can unlock more based on what you enjoy fighting. There's suit special abilities to where typically I only use like the same maybe 4, but there's a bunch of other fun ones, so other different people can do whatever they want. Yeah, 3, you use like the same thing.
Understandable. Gain experience from combat.
I wasn't even talking about those, but yeah, I was talking about like the special. I was talking about super, but yeah, that as well. Yeah, you can, if you want to use base at more XP based on fighting. If let's say you're good at fighting, you think you're leveling up at a good pace, so you just want more defense. So you have more defense. You can have better gadget charge based on defeating enemies. If you prefer the gadgets, which gadgets are fun, you can prefer to your health. Like you gain more health with using focus bar, so you can make like a combination. Your focus bar builds up faster with gadgets. Your focus bar fills up with fighting, and then you get more healing from focus bar. So you have like a healing meta going on. I think your suit power is also like focus bar. So you're basically just a constant like med kit tank.
I'm gonna hark another time. The suits, though fun, I will say, shouldn't have been locked like they did. You should have out of the gate been able to choose whatever suit you wanted. The suit power should have been what you bought.
No, I don't agree with that.
Like because there's some of those that
reason I don't agree with that is because I've played older Spider-Man games, and that's been like the thing is like as you play through the game, you unlock them as you're playing through the game. So
no, like I'm saying
that's been like a thing. It's not a new thing. It's been a thing that's happened in Spider-Man games. So it's why I can't agree with you have all the suits available to you. I don't agree with that. I think you should unlock
maybe
them
not entirely like that, but like as you progress, then you get it, then you can switch the suits. Like, oh,
I do agree it should have been based off story, not level.
Exactly. Well, I'm not even saying like that. I'm not even saying like that. Like, I feel like the suit powers were redundant. I stuck with one suit power the entire game, and that was just
that's fine.
And
I like how there's different abilities based off different suits. So if you wanted to go full on with the ability of the suit, you could.
And like I said, that's fun. Like I can see how that is fun. I like the suit aspect changing, but I really feel like what it should have done was, as opposed to you get to this specific point of the game, okay, let's go get a new suit. You don't get the powers. You got to go complete the missions, the crime tokens, the research tokens, whatever, to get the power. But you can already have the suit as the cosmetic. I feel like it should have been like that, as opposed to...
I personally like how they did it because you get the suit and the power, but you can separate them. Mm-hmm. The power goes with the suit.
No, I'm saying it's separated.
It is as if it's connected, but they gave you the freedom to mix and match your stuff because, of course, not everyone's going to want that specific ability.
And that's
so they did more than what I thought they were already going to do, which is limit a power to a different suit, like in like Lego Batman or something.
And like I said, I'm not saying limited. I'm not saying limited. Keep it the same way. But like let's keep it level based. Once you reach level 50, you have access to every cosmetic in the game.
Yeah.
Then after you get the cosmetics, then you go do all the missions to upgrade the powers for them, and you can mix and match from there. As opposed to, all right, I want this suit. I gotta go do all these quests. God, let me go do all these quests.
I know what you're talking about. That's where you can pick your own things where like you can pick which suit you want to unlock. You don't have to use the materials on a suit to like get to the next suit. It's not a skill tree you have to get. There's not like a battle pass thing. It's not a you have to complete everything to get it, or you have to complete the later levels. You complete levels early on, and as you go forward, unlock the suits that you want to. You don't have to unlock everything immediately. And I'm sure most people early on realizing, oh, these take certain materials to unlock an outfit. I should save these in case there's an outfit later on that I enjoy more, which is what I did. I saved a bunch of the medals until later on. Beat out more suits that I want to unlock. Until I did later runs, I realized I'm just going to buy all the suits in general because I know I'm going to complete everything every because I already know how to complete everything.
And one final that I'm going to say I'm neutral about. I'm very neutral. We have an end credit scene, technically two, but we have an end credit scene where Miles is like, okay, Pete, I need to talk to you about something. Something's going on with my body. I found that whole little sequence hilarious. Like, when you get to this age, your body starts changing. You might notice you start growing. No, not that. It might be easier if I just show you. He flips up to the ceiling. I thought that was cool. I did not like the fact that Peter immediately did it afterwards.
Well, I mean, why not?
Okay, because it's one of those. I know goes into it because I've seen the Miles Morales movie Into the Spider-Verse, so I know that he ends up training him somewhat. I also know I've seen parts of Miles Morales DLC at this point, so I know that he trains him. But I feel like what it should have been was that's entirely where it should have cut off. And then the beginning of Miles Morales is that scene. It could be that entirely. But the beginning of that scene is then you cut to him like, okay, hey, you want to see something else that's kind of cool? As opposed to that right there. I feel like, I do not know why. That did not click well with me.
So one thing I will tell you Miles Morales. I'll go ahead and talk it. I'll talk about it a little bit because I feel like it's not completely talking about it. Miles Morales, it's the same situation as the Spider-Man game, where I'm pretty sure he starts as knowing how to be Spider-Man a little bit, because in the DLC,
That's okay.
he they talk like in the DLC of Spider-Man, they kind of phone back and forth that he's been training him about things, but he's telling Miles not to drop school, that being in school and learning things is important, right? Like one thing, another like Peter Parker thing, he's like, how is me learning about like how fast I'm falling and what direction I'm falling matter, like to being Spider-Man? It's like, well, if you're falling down this fast and you're falling forward this fast, then how much what would you need to do to keep a resistance of being safe from falling so fast? Where would you want to stop?
Right. And
And so it was just more. It was more story that you weren't really interacting with, but you were hearing and watching and listening to it. It was more stuff developing because the DLC came out before Miles Morales, so it's more stuff learning, and then the game Miles Morales came out, which is basically just a very polished, very shiny, cool DLC that you kind of paid for nearly the full price, if not the full price of a game. So
yeah.
it is.
And
That's why a lot of people were disappointed to where it was you were paying full price for a game. Eventually, they knocked down the price, but you were paying full price for a game for basically a very advanced DLC, which I agree was a lot, and they shouldn't have charged that much, like the exact same as that.
Right. And like I said,
But
that's not a negative. That's a neutral. I don't know
yeah,
how I feel about it entirely. I did not like the fact
once
that he
you learn
just
the rest of the
immediately.
stuff and you realize the sort of formula they're going with, it does make sense and it is cool, and
And
yeah, you
maybe,
understand it.
but right now, as the initial thing, because we
Yeah,
may or may not go over the DLC of Spider-Man in our Patreon in like 4 or 5
I
months.
could do. Here's the thing: I could do solo videos and just like upload it. I could just literally do a video of me talking about the DLC and just upload it on Patreon if we ever do that.
And then
No big
I'm in
deal.
the back and I watch it. Oh my god, that sounds stupid. That nah.
Yeah,
But
because it has another villain that's super cool. Yeah, it has a villain inside of the DLC that's not in the main game. I'm not gonna say it, but they have it. It's
God,
super
there's
cool.
so much. Spider-Man's a very it was overall. I can 100% see the fun in it for people out there. For
Mm-hmm.
the Spider-Man fans, I can see it. But as an outward fan, at least in my aspect, it lost a lot of its enjoyment very early on because I realized how repetitive it actually was. Cut out cut out the side quests, at least 80% of them.
Not at least 80%.
It's a lot. It was a lot of the same things over and over. I'm sorry. You may have enjoyed that. There are times I do, but I didn't. There are some games I do, and one of the ones we'll eventually talk about later on in our podcast. I'm kind of like that, but they at least
You
change
have
it up.
to you have to be a Spider-Man fan for that stuff.
Well,
If you're
okay, the
not a
backpack
Spider-Man
was
fan, then you're not.
fine. The backpacks were
Yeah,
fine. I'm
but
talking
it's because
like
you got a different thing with each single
I'm
one, though.
thinking like
It's not you're doing a whole bunch of stuff for just one outcome. A whole bunch of the exact same thing for one thing was the reason why.
I'm
So
talking
you
like the
enjoy
research token.
that's
I'm talking like the token stuff.
yeah.
Like the base tokens. I didn't
Token
get
stuff's
much.
yeah. It's still a little
Base
annoying. Yeah.
tokens was a bit like that. The crime tokens didn't get anything out of it. Some of the research tokens, you learned some stuff. Those were kind of neat. The Black Cat tokens, you learned a little bit more, like her kind of stuff. Those are cool. Those that add something to it, I'm fine with, which I'm saying 80-ish%, because that's essentially 3 things that I saw that kind of pertained to any way, shape, or form. Was Black Cat, I guess, a challenge token. I didn't do enough of his, so I can't say 100% on how his actually progressed. So I'm going to leave his up in the air. But Black Cat was fun because you learned more about it. Then you also had the backpack. Those were fun.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, it got a bit repetitive for my taste of it. And I've played, like, even in this kind of aspect of the game, it's got a bit repetitive. Like, even you had said, it just, scenes got repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, we're going to talk about games that are going to be like that. Even Last of Us, it got repetitive. It's why I gave it like a 9. I'm not. Take away that and vamp up the fights a little more to where you actually had to use a little bit more brain power and use a little bit of other aspects to it. Rhino Fight was fun because he had to pull stuff down in order to damage him. That was great. Shocker, you just had, or Mr. Negative, wait for him to power down after he does his Oni stuff. Go flick him. Vulture, flick him. Electro, destroy his power beacon, then flick him. That's where it just got, like I said, I can see me playing this again, but it's overall, you hyped it. I think you hyped it up a bit too much for me. I went in, it's like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I went in ecstatic to play it and was a bit let down too soon, so my expectations fell really quick.
But it's still a good game, though. It's still a good... No, it's a good game. It's a fun game.
If you cut out the gameplay and focus on the story...
If you take a game and cut out the game, it's fine.
Dude, the story was great. I liked it. It was a little... It was here and there. I'll admit to that. But it was still good. And here's what it felt like. It felt like a TV show that got stretched out into a video game. That's entirely what it felt like come the end of it. Like they had a whole thing, and like you have the moments in the game, man, I gotta go kill time. Like Barnyard or freaking Ratatouille. They have to add stuff in to fill in the stuff. That way they can go to the main stuff. I can see it being fun. It was not for me. I'm gonna have to give this game 4 Frasers.
No. 4! You get it? 4!
4 Frasers.
Boo. Alright, well, anyway, one more thing I want to talk about. There's 3 amazing things of foreshadowing. The first thing,
oh, that's right,
Otto Octavius being Dr. Octopus, amazing foreshadowing to him throughout just the entire thing. It was a story that slowly built up from the very beginning of the game to the very end. The foreshadowing for becoming Dr. Octopus, who he was to be, what he became, amazing. Next thing of foreshadowing was Norman Osborn going to be Green Goblin in the next game. Here's the thing, there's no even confirmation yet.
Right.
There's no confirmation of that, but if you look at the museum, at Grand Central, if you look at all the technology there, if you looked at the technology inside of Norman's house, if you looked at that helmet that can literally scan things, if you looked inside the lab with the serums they had, with the bombs, inside the museum, they had like a cloaking device, they had a drone, which they could have easily been turned into a glider, they had another thing, there's one more thing, oh, of course I'm forgetting it now, but there was another thing and they had inside there, and basically all of this stuff led to they could totally make this is to be Green Goblin. So yeah. I really hope we get that next game. There's so many motives they could make, especially with him wanting to save Harry. He's desperate to save Harry. He literally almost ended New York and the world to save Harry. So there's so many reasons they could do it. And then the massive reveal that Harry is infected with Venom.
I didn't click at first. I'll admit to that. I did not click at first that was Venom. I did have to ask you if that was Venom.
Yes, it is Venom.
Because I always knew Eddie Brock was the Venom, not Harry.
Eddie Brock is known to be the Venom. So the fact that it's Harry is super cool.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for us to get Venom, which we were shown. I remember the trailer for Spider-Man 2. It was showing like Spider-Man and Miles teaming up against thugs, and that's where we were thinking, is it gonna be a 2-player game? Because it showed, not only did it show them fighting, it showed them teaming up, like in a cinematic together. Now, of course, this was a cutscene, right? So but that was making us think, is this a 2-player game? What I think is if it is, awesome. Also, if it's not, I'm worried.
If it's 2-player, you and I are going to play through it.
After you're rating after Spider-Man, I'm not so sure about that.
Fine. Anyway, 3 Frasers.
No. Pick it back up. No, there will be no Spider-Man 2 if you don't. Anyway, but and then the fact that it was really Venom, he said, I don't remember what he said. It was like a voice said you needed to defeat Spider-Man. Kraven the Hunter! Kraven the Hunter is what it was. Kraven the Hunter was the voice. That's what it was. Kraven the Hunter is also another villain. Kraven the Hunter was like, you have to win. You have to defeat Spider-Man. And then you hear just Venom's voice saying, yes, we will. And bro, everyone lost it. And then Venom pans out from the shadows of the alley. It was amazing. I'm so excited. That was the same day they announced Wolverine, which I'm also super excited for because the Wolverine's another childhood character I love so much.
A lot of Marvel. A lot of Marvel.
A lot of Marvel. A lot of stuff I'm super excited about.
I can't wait for the Flash game. I love him. He's a good Marvel
Flash
character.
game? Oh my gosh, that I couldn't know. Flash game. I couldn't see them doing a Flash game.
Let's just wait to see him and 5 other characters get struck by lightning. And everybody's going to call it a great opening.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay, you know what? I think 4 is harsh. I'll give it a 5. It's right in the middle of I can see where the fun is, but I did not enjoy it after a certain point.
You're going to hate me.
You're going to give it a 9.
I'm giving it a 10.
No.
I'm sure I love...
It is not worth a Hugh Jackman.
Oh no! Hugh Jackman's 2 10s.
No, I know. I'm not saying it's not half. It's not worth half a Jackman. It's not worth half a Jackman.
Part of me wants to. Here's the thing. Part of me wants to say 9.
Put it at a 9.5 because there are definitely some flaws that you unfortunately.
There are flaws. There are a few flaws in it.
So that's what I'm saying. Put it at a 9.5 because I feel like at your aspect that's a fair rating.
Here's the thing. I'm pretty sure I gave The Last of Us a 10. No, what did I give it? Did I give it like a 9.5?
Mm-hmm.
Give it like a 9.5.
You're going very high in this rating. Our Games and Gamers are going to be so different as time goes on.
Oh, it is. But again, we started with 2 amazing. Not to you, but we started with 2 amazing games in my book. I'm gonna give it a 9.4. 9.4.
9.4, Frasers?
9.4.
All right, I'm fine with 9.4, so that evens it out to like a 6.8.
I so badly want to put it to 9.5. I so badly do. There are things that could have been done better though.
Can I if I persuade, I'm gonna tell us afterwards. It's like a 5, it's like a 6.8 Fraser. I'm gonna see after this if I can convince him to make it drop to a 9. A 9 Fraser.
Drop it to 9?
Yeah, 9 Frasers.
9? No.
So yeah, I'll say 4.5. I'll give it a 4.5, actually.
4.5.
Now that I really think about it, 5, I say 5's right in the middle if I can see the enjoyability of it. 4.5 is more I lean toward I didn't care much for it. But I'm still giving it the respect it deserves.
This game's not a 10, but it is amazing.
It ain't an 8.5, I'm telling you that, because that's what this game got rated, was an 8.5.
No,
you cut out 80% of the unnecessary side. Fucking gathering pigeons.
You don't have to do that stuff. Though.
That's what I'm saying. The fact that
force you to.
What side quests do? It's a side quest. There's a pigeon. There's one side quest you actually you gotta envelop the entirety of the game when you go into this.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. The fact that
I literally
I'm telling you from my aspect.
Days straight to 100% it.
I'm sitting like 80.
It would be a little bit until I did it again, but I would do it again. I did want to do it on Ultimate. I want 100% Ultimate. That'd be super fun. But yeah, I love the game. I love the DLC. Here's the thing: when I'm rating it, I'm not including the DLC. By the way, I'm not including the DLC when I'm rating.
But we're going base game. Base game, what you can do right there. Like
base game, I still give it like a 9.4.
Oh, that's fine. That's fair. Maybe, you love this game. You love this game.
I love the game. I love Spider-Man. I love the whole thing. I literally played it so many times. I just think
it was an open... Here's the easiest way. It was an open world game that gave you too much to do. I think that is the absolute easiest way to phrase it.
I personally enjoy that there's a lot to do, because if there was a massive open world with barely anything to do, I would have not liked it, because all it would have done was remind me of the older Spider-Man games that were made, and I wanted more, and this game delivered on that.
And like I said, respect to that. There are some.
It's one of those things where you have to be a Spider-Man fan. You have to be
and that could be entirely the case. Like I'm not a Spider-Man hater, despite how I've talked about this. But
I know, but it's like you can't enjoy so many aspects of it. There's aspects you're missing to where if you're not enjoying it to that extent, then you're basically only facing the gameplay, and the gameplay of it is not too good. because you can't enjoy Spider-Man because enjoying the gameplay involves enjoying Spider-Man.
I tried to focus on all of it. I was focused on the gameplay and the story. That's why I was given it. The story, I'm not considered to say it was the most amazing game story I've ever heard. I'm not gonna.
No, it's not the best story.
It's very much a Marvel story. It's very much a Marvel story.
It's still a great story. Yeah, it's still a great story though. But of course, you know, I'm not gonna go saying this story is better than Last of Us. You know, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna say that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm wanting to give it lower than Last of Us. It's definitely not as good as Last of Us. I could name several games that are better than this.
No, you did give it a 10. You did give it a 10, and I gave it.
I'm pretty sure I was gonna give it a 9.5, but I was so in love with it and still wanted to play it more, and then lost the extra.
I gave it a 9 because I found the flaws. You gave it a 10 because it's flawless.
I already really enjoyed it from what it was when I played it. So, man, I love this Spider-Man episode. We're talking a lot about Last of Us.
Yeah. Fuck Spider-Man. Last of Us is better.
This episode's already long. Let's enjoy it a little bit. We've been talking nonstop.
I'm gonna edit it down and cut out some of this, so don't you
worry. That's fine.
I have our brand new. That's a very wrong word. That's a very wrong word for our next one. It's not a brand new game. This game's older than Danger and I.
Oh yeah, you've not stopped talking about this game.
Fuck you! It's a good soundtrack.
It's like you showed the song. It's like, oh, here's the song, and then you talk about more about the song, and then.
Dude, I do not. I'm going to tell you this right now. I do not understand why that. Okay, I kind of do, but I'm not 100% why this.
Basically, what I can tell you right now, it's like the same thing. Like basically what I did to you with Spider-Man. You really overhyped it. It's not that good to me. Anyway.
I haven't talked about the game at all. Just the song.
No, I know.
I told you, I do not understand.
This song's amazing. I love the song.
It resonates with me in a weird level, and I do not understand why.
It's a nice song.
Entirely fine. Like I said, it resonated with me on a weird level. I don't even understand why I like it so much. It's in my Spotify playlist, for Pete's sake. I don't know why. We're talking about our next game. We're going to go back in the past to the era of PlayStation 1. We're going to play Silent Hill. And Danger's going to go into this one probably with the same negative feelings come the end of it as I did with Spider-Man. I'm going to call it
I'm going to have a personal vendetta against this game.
Don't have a vendetta against the game. I just do not think you're going to have the patience or sanity to actually play this game.
I think I can do it. I think I can definitely do it. I'm not gonna be streaming it or recording.
Oh, don't.
I'm not.
So we're gonna do that.
I think that'll save my sanity a bit.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do afterwards. If you want to go through with this, if you want to do stuff like this, anyway. But anyway, stay tuned for that. We got Silent Hill coming up next. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me rant about Spider-Man.
Spider-Man is an amazing.
Spider bad.
Spider good. Spider's good. No.
Like I said, I like the story. That's all we're gonna say. I like the story. So
story is great.
Thanks all for listening. I hope you got your controllers charged and ready for our next time when we log in. So I will say GG's, everybody.
See ya. Bye.